Let's do it. Let's do an official intro for this one, guys. Since you are the first two guests at Fight Left Feast Prodigal America 2024. Let's go. Exploring theology, doctrine, and all of the fascinating subjects in between. Broadcasting from an undisclosed location. Dead Men Walking starts
now.
Got the Wine 'em, Dine 'em, Romans 9 'em mug. You can get that at dmwpodcast.com. Support the show. Guys, thanks so much for coming to another episode here. Listening, telling a friend. You're going to hear background noise if you're listening to this. If you're watching it, you're going, what's going on? We are at Prodigal America Fight Laugh Feast 2024.
Did you just disclose the location?
See, that's what I was thinking too, man.
I beat you to
Okay.
it.
You did. We looked at each other.
I knew I shouldn't have put you two on an episode at the same time.
Oh, man, you're in for a new one.
I'm in so much trouble. The only two guys that I know that are just as sarcastic, or if not more sarcastic than me, that's why I love them, Kyle Hessler and Parker Brown. How you brothers doing?
Doing great, man.
Good. Hey,
So-
real quick.
Yeah.
Parker Brown? Kyle Hessler.
Officially meeting you.
Yes, sir.
Officially meeting you.
The two guys that made this booth possible.
That's right. That's right. So I told him on the way down, because we had his poster board here in the back window of my Ford Fusion for what?
1,200 miles?
1,200 miles.
Yeah.
That the going rate for that sponsorship was a shout out for our podcast in every single episode this week.
And I'll do it. Watch Well Podcast.
Wait a second.
Real Parker Brown.
We could have charged.
So you're missing out, bro.
Darn it.
You're missing out, bro.
Hey, Kyle Hessler knows I love him. You still at page 50?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you do
Happily.
shaking and moving at page 50 over there, Stuart?
We are doing some good stuff. I think you might even be able to see
Probably
us in
see
the
it.
background.
Yeah, you might be able to see it in the
Yeah.
So we're on Media Row right now in Fort Worth, Texas, Fight Laugh Feast. These two guys were so helpful. Wanted to have them on, introduce you to them as well. I know some of you guys probably know, if you listen to the show at all, Parker Brown with Watch Well Podcast. He's right next door, and I gotta say, probably the best looking set on Media Row. I'm a little jealous. Usually I like to take that title, but man, he went all out, and I'm gonna be posting some stuff on Twitter and X or whatever it's called, so you can see those pictures. But Parker Brown drove from Ohio to Texas and took my gear with me. Or
That's
with
right.
you.
That's right.
And got it down here for me. Saved me a bunch of time and money and headache of worrying if the guys in the plane were going to throw around my microphones and everything. So he got down here. And then Kyle so generously said, dude, I'm 20 minutes from the conference. Why don't you use my chairs? Why don't you use my coffee table? Why don't you use my truck? I mean,
Man.
just hooked me up, dude.
I think you beat me, man. I got the stuff here, but
The truck also has a Christ is Lord sticker on it. So,
Is that why I had two flats when I came out of In-N-Out Burger? I had to change those.
Did you check the oil? Sometimes they pour salt in it.
They pour salt in it. But yeah, we're just kicking it off. Obviously, I'm going to be mashing these up. So if you guys are listening right now, you're going to hear different people. Usually we do 3-4 at a time. We'll give you an hour of content at a time. Not live streaming, but it's going to be really close. When you hear this, it'll probably be within a few days of this happening. So you'll be able to hear the speakers when they come on within a few days. And obviously we want to talk to people who are doing things kind of in the same realm we are. Parker, obviously, with a newer podcast, Watch Well, which I've not famously, but I've said many times, probably one of my favorite ideas for a podcast, watching a movie and then discussing it. Tell me your tagline again. Throw it out there.
Simply, we apply presuppositional apologetics to film.
There we go. And so with me being down here on a podcast and getting speakers on and all that, really my only goal is to get James White on his podcast to discuss Gladiator.
Oh, man.
That's what we're doing.
I'm going to be honest. I might freeze up a little bit if that happens, but well, can I tell the story again about what happened on Twitter? Because I'm sure you'll be interested in this.
I would love to. I'm trying to subscribe to your podcast right now.
Oh, I appreciate that, man. So,
Watch Well.
Okay, so I don't remember exactly how long ago this was, but James White is on Twitter. The rumor is Gladiator's his favorite movie.
Yeah.
And he posted the poster, like the ad for the new Gladiator 2 movie that comes out on, I believe it's November 22nd.
Okay.
And I posted on his tweet, or if we're calling them tweets now, I don't know. But his
X's sounds weird.
You send out your exes,
Exes,
because
yeah.
all my exes live in Texas.
There we go. Hey! Oh, wait, I need a laugh drop or something.
Yeah.
Golly, I can't see it. All right, go ahead.
Anyway, I posted on there and said, hey, love to have
wait.
you on the podcast. Oh,
There
there
we
we go. There we go.
40 seconds late. Sorry, go ahead.
So I put
So you put
I posted on there and said, hey, would love to have you on the podcast, talk Gladiator. apply presuppositional apologetics to it, talk about worldview, talk about how, you need to, in order to understand story to its fullest, you have to know Christ, So, and I didn't get a response from him, and I wasn't expecting a response, but
Sure.
I did get a response from someone who claimed to be in his Bible study 30 years ago. And the sword, remember, you're familiar with the movie, right? The wooden sword that they give the gladiators to give them their freedom, like to award them their freedom. So that Bible study as a group got together, and on James White's birthday gave him that wooden, like a replica of the wooden sword.
That's nice.
So, and then the guy that was talking to me on Twitter through the comment section actually sent me a picture of them at the Bible study.
That's great.
So
From 30 years ago.
From like 30 years ago.
That's crazy. No, that's cool.
So I'd love to actually get James White on to talk about Gladiator and then ask him if that guy was legit and then just pull a random picture off the internet.
So I'm really,
that's true. You got to watch that, yeah.
So I'm really mad. That's a brilliant idea.
Oh,
and
thanks,
I
man.
would, first off, I've got a deacon at my church that needs to come on.
Oh, I'd love to have
He
him.
does the Christology. He sees Christ in every movie.
Yeah.
And it's sometimes it's like roll your eyes, but most of the time it's like, that's a great insight.
He's like, Elsa is a shadow of Christ.
No.
No.
But I love that because, like, even recently, so I have a 3-year-old, and we were watching Cars.
Yeah.
And I never liked Cars when I saw it. I mean, God, I'm old because I remember when that came out. But we were watching that, and I'm like, this is a great masculine movie.
Yeah.
Because the whole premise of the movie, I'll spoil an episode if we ever did it.
Go for
but
it, yeah.
The idea is like Lightning McQueen is this kind of two-dimensional character. It's kind of a two-dimensional movie. Actually, no, it's not. The whole thing with the movie that's brilliant is he wants two things in life. He wants to win the Piston Cup as a rookie, which means he literally only has one chance to do it. And that's the two things, right?
Yeah.
So, no. And then he wants to get sponsored by Dynaco.
That's right.
By the end of the movie, he is offered both things, and he turns them down for honest and noble reasons. So
Right.
he doesn't win the, he stops, if you ever seen the movie, he stops at the finish line
Yep.
because the older car is
Yep,
destroyed.
Chuck.
And he finishes third.
Yep.
He makes sure the older car gets his moment of glory, send off, and so he gives it up. So he gives up the dream he could never get back, and then he's offered the Dynaco thing.
Yep.
And he decides to be honorable to the people that brought him to the dance, the
Yep,
sponsors.
that's right.
And I just think I show it to my son. I'm like, this is how men act.
Right, and that's a good segue into what we do.
Yeah, please.
Like we would use that to teach our kids. So like in the movie, I think the green car's name is Chuck. Is that right? So there's Lightning
Yeah.
McQueen, and then there's
The bad car is named.
Go on, guys. Sure. Welcome to the Watch Well podcast. I'll just sit over here and listen.
But anyway, we use that as a great stepping stone.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, what's moral? And then that's a great way to teach your kids because
Yeah.
it's like, at the end of the day, it's just a movie about cars that talk and there's racing. But what is winning? Why should we win with dignity?
Mm-hmm.
And then take that back to a theological source.
Yeah, it's always good when it can be driven home. I always try to find a little bit more, behind it. So like The Incredibles is federal husband.
That's right. That's hilarious.
You have to. I'm not going to break down that one. You'll have to bring me on to talk about that. But that's like I can't see Mr. Incredible and not think Doug Wilson now.
Yeah, I know, right? That's so funny. Okay,
funny.
so back to Dead Men Walking.
No, I was just kidding. You guys can talk about that all you want. Well, that's the whole point too, guys. Is like go watch Well. Love that podcast and what they're doing. You're going to have discussions just like that little mini discussion you had there. But Kyle, I want to talk about Workspace.
Yeah.
Because you're a conference organizer now. You said
Officially.
my life wasn't chaotic enough. I didn't have enough stress. Let's try to get 1,000 people in a room in the same place from across the country. And your first one went off really well.
Yeah.
Great speakers. Do we have another one coming up?
Yeah, you ironically say that, but me and my family are really counting the cost of how much of a stressor was this. We had a couple of people that are helping us that won't be able to help us next year. Okay. So we're looking for some people that might be able to help us kind of coordinate, organize, so I can just be the face behind it, and that's it.
Sure.
But no, honestly, it was great. I was just talking to Camden Spiller of Maddox.
Okay.
And he was like, we want to be there next year. And that's great. And he was telling me he was just talking to David Bonson, and David Bonson was speaking very highly of it. So it's like, well, that's great that he remembers something from 6 months ago.
Sure.
No, it went great. I think, we're at Fight Laugh Feast, and they're doing the Business Makers networking, and that's great. We need more Christians to network. So the whole idea of Workspace is less about the speakers we bring in, less about the dialogue, less about the content of the weekend, more about like just come here and get some business done.
Right.
You know, because there's tons of Christians who, you know, like I'm in marketing. Everyone needs marketing, but I work for a sign company, and people need decals, they need signs, they need all this different stuff. And I have just, in my experience, realized there's a lot of people in our spaces that do a lot of different services, and we just don't know about it.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, even like Andrew Rappaport with Red Balloon, too, kind of saw that in the employment sector and like putting people together and how we have believers, but we don't have any way we can come together really. Fight Laugh Feast is obviously one. Workspace is one. Do you have a date set, or are you doing it like next year? Are you going to wait another 2 years, or like is it annually? I can't remember what you said you were going to do.
So we want the goal is not only to just do a big annual conference. We want to do like small events regionally.
Okay.
So, you know, one in Nashville, one in Birmingham, one in maybe Pacific Northwest, you know, New York maybe even. But that might be a few years away.
Sure.
We really want to do one big annual conference and then kind of bridge out from there. So the plan right now is probably like September of next year.
Yeah.
And then just keep doing it annually in September, figure out a month that works well for it.
Yeah.
So,
I would actually love to sit down with you and talk more, because
let's do it.
Watchwell is actually a portfolio for my production company.
Oh, great.
Where I edit podcasts for other podcasters that, you know, are big and they don't want to deal with the editing. So.
Yeah. Well, and I got to get my own podcast going at some point. Right. Have both you guys on.
Yeah. Anything you need, man.
Yeah, you got, don't you have Reformation Red Pill? You do some of their work?
Yep. So I've edited for Josh
podcast
over there and Reformation Red Pill. And we'll see what the future holds.
Yeah.
But we're growing, definitely.
All right, so what are you guys most looking forward to in the conference, and then we'll get out of here. This is your first time, Parker, and you went all out, man, because like a lot of first-time guys, too, will come down like today at like 5 o'clock, load in an hour, and then right to Beard of Psalms. You were here yesterday morning, so we've been hanging out basically 2 full days. Well, not 2 full days, but 2 days.
When Greg Moore says jump, you jump.
Say how high? No, not at all. But it's been a blessing being right next to you. I'm glad we're booth mates. What are you guys looking forward to? I say maybe we start with Kyle, since he's been to a couple, and then Parker.
I've been to 4 or 5 of these. Laura Pittman, who's Marcus Pittman's
Laura TV,
wife, said it really well a few years back. She's like, the nice thing about FLF is it's basically a giant family reunion. And so I'm not really looking forward to any particular talk. Maybe Steve Dace to some degree, because he's never been. I think I'm most looking forward to Steve's reaction to this. I'm hoping we can make him a Presbyterian by the end of the weekend.
Right. Well, he was at the South Dakota one that I went out to.
That's right.
And that was the first time he was on the podcast, and they've both grown, both Fight Laugh Feast and he has. So it'll be interesting to. I was going to talk to him and get his reaction on that, but yeah.
But I think it's the beer and psalms, because at the cornerstone of all that we do is worship of God.
Yeah.
And, you know, part of what Workspace is all about is encouraging people to realize that that worshiping God is not limited to Sundays. It's limited to, or it's extended to what we do in our work, how we raise our children, but even how we celebrate, how we have fun. So I look forward to this conference as much as anything throughout the year. And so, roundabout story, I'd say beer and psalms is what I'm most looking forward to.
Nice. How about you, Parker? What's going on?
Honestly, I've made some of the best relationships that I've had in a very long time on X the past year, and I'm just really excited to fellowship with those brothers, not through a computer screen.
Right, in person.
That's good.
And you know, on X's, sending out X's.
Yeah. That started for me 5 years ago when this whole thing started. That's a genuine thing. So I'll give you a little quick story. This last week I was in Birmingham and messaged Pastor Rich Lusk, hung out with him, spent time with his church, and I'm just thinking, I'll get to hang out with Rich, and so that was great. Turns out I knew like 15 people at their church.
Wow.
Through online interaction and some personal stuff too. A couple guys had come to Workspace. I didn't know that they went there, so that was great. And then the next day I went to Chattanooga, and I messaged the CREC church that's out there, and hung out with those brothers, and now I have more relationships that are extended, and they'll have to live through Facebook and Twitter for a little bit, but I think that's a genuine thing. That's such a blessing of technology.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
It is, yeah. I'm kind of in the same way, too, to where after 5 years of these two, I kind of got guys in real estate that I can refer stuff to, or they can refer stuff to me. And it's really hard to find other realtors that you trust outside of your local area. But it's nice that I'm sending them to brothers in the Lord, and I can go, not only do I, obviously there's referral fees and stuff included, but it's like at least I know I'm sending the client to somewhere that I respect and I know. And that's been a big thing, because that's hard for realtors. Like, oh, yeah, I'm selling my house in Michigan where I'm at, but we're moving to South Carolina. Who do you know down there? Well, you need to know someone. A lot of realtors don't know. And I go, I got a guy in South Carolina.
It kind of goes for any referral, though, right?
Yeah, that's true.
If it's rooted in Christ, there's a different kind of trust, I would say.
Yeah. But also, we need to be, and this is like a workspace thing, is like we need to be doing excellence as we do that.
That's
so
right.
don't just put the Jesus fish on your real estate stuff and expect that's going to carry it.
True.
Have a good connection to a local church.
Yeah.
So I like that you're doing that, though, because that's going to be big. I think that's going to be big over the next decade when people are moving. They're going to need to coordinate with people in other states. So that's good.
Parker, shout out your production company for people that are watching and go, hey, I'm starting a podcast and I want to, or I have a podcast and I want to get it edited.
It's called Vindicated Productions, and it's real simple. If you have a podcast, you take all of your raw files, you upload it to Google Drive, and then I download it, I edit it, and I send it back.
You do the magic.
Do the magic, man. Get it on the timeline, edit it up. And we actually have a project management application to where you actually get to see the timeline of everything going through.
That's awesome.
So you know when it's being edited, when we're working on the audio, when, all these different things, and then send it off for revision. You check it or you send it back. We try not to do the whole revision thing because that takes time, but hopefully we get it right on the first time, and then you can upload it.
And you can get shorts too?
Yeah,
Reels?
so we actually have two different tiers. So and I can't really remember the prices off the top of my head. I think the basic tier is like an unlimited queuing, where as long as your queue is full, I edit one at a time. And if that's $5 a month, then that's $5 a month. If it's $8 a month, it's $8 a month, depending on how intricate the editing is. I think that one's like $8.99 a month, and then that one just comes with audio, video, podcast, and then there's one that's like $1,600 or $1,700 a month, I think, and that comes with shorts and 2 medium form videos for YouTube. And eventually, I want to get to where I'm actually managing the content for you, so where I upload, do the thumbnails, I do all of it for you.
That's awesome.
So you don't even have to worry about it, and then you can go film more episodes and get more sponsorship slots sold and make more money. That's kind of the idea.
Yeah, let's all make more money. I like that idea. All right, cool. We'll cut it off there. Guys, you're just going to be hearing stuff mashed up. I'm just going to run them back to back like we do every year. So this episode, I don't even know who's going to be on it, because we'll just pull some people into the chairs and sit down and talk. All right, guys, see you in a little bit. Get that mic right up on you there, Andrew. You sound a little... Get it right up on you.
Oh, I know.
Okay.
I'm just fixing this first.
Up on you. Can't stand you. Can't stand you.
Up on you. Can't stand you.
Do you know where that's from? Seinfeld?
Which one?
Well, you remember the other guy's name was Costanza. The George Costanza. Well, his coach in high school called him "Can't stand you."
Can't stand you.
Come here, can't stand you. And he talked about that. I just always thought it was so funny.
Costanza.
Yeah,
by Menon.
Is there any movie you don't have memorized?
I know, right?
If it's in the 80s or 90s, it's in the well.
It's in the bank.
What's in the well comes out of the bucket. That's what my old professor used to say.
Okay, I am curious, just before we start recording.
Oh, no, we're recording.
Do you memorize scripture as well as you do movie?
Get that mic up on you, right up on you. Put it right in front of you.
I'm going to tell you a secret.
Act like you've done a podcast before, Andrew.
What's a podcast?
What's a podcast?
I'll tell you a dirty secret.
We are recording.
The scripture, not a dirty, like
no,
a,
I'm just saying.
It's a dirty limerick. No.
Are you recording on the video too?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So the scriptures that I have most memorized are the ones from movies. Like, I remember...
Pastor Keith Foskey.
I remember Luther's quote at Verms because I've seen the movie so many times. I'm quoting the movie, not the actual quote.
However you remember it,
I do.
But those for you tuning in, we're mashing these up. We're at Fight Laugh Feast, Prodigal America. The boys are back in town. I've got Andrew Rappaport, Keith Foskey, and we're just having fun. We're getting ready for Beer and Psalms tonight at the Fight Laugh Feast conference in Fort Worth, Texas. But I wanted to have these guys on, two special guys that have always been very generous to me. We're going to be at Jeffrey Rice's conference in February. We're looking forward to that. But here we're going to Fight, Laugh, and Feast right now in Fort Worth, Texas. So how you guys doing? Just came in today, right, both of you?
Yeah. Flew in.
You
flew in too, right?
Yeah, I've been up since 2:30 Eastern time. It's now 7:30.
I was up at 4:45 Eastern time, so you win.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't trying to.
No.
Andrew does like competition.
He does. It's like,
You know?
Yeah.
What's your blood pressure? Mine's higher than yours. I win.
This morning
That's
I was
probably
up.
true.
I ran around my house 6 times.
That's right. One more time, the walls would have fell down.
Well, I just wanted to be clear that if I start slurring, it's not because of the beer, because I didn't have any beer.
There you go. Yeah, it's the high blood pressure. Oh, man, I'm so glad you guys flew in. Keith, we just found out about you about a week ago. Andrew, you had stuff going on. I mean, you're all over the place in the whole world. Who knows where you're talking at and preaching and doing stuff. Same with you, Keith. But so cool for both of you guys to be down here. I know we're going to have a few good days. I think, Keith, you got to leave on Saturday. I think, when are you headed out?
I'm headed out Sunday night.
Sunday night? Okay,
Yeah.
I'm Sunday afternoon. But, just wanted to kind of chop it up with you guys and give the people, the listeners, a little bit of what's going on in Fight, Laugh, Feast. Like I said, we're going to Beer and Psalms here momentarily, probably 10 minutes. This won't be a long clip. But you can hear the noise behind us. Everyone's coming in. We've probably got, 400 or 500 people here. And then it'll grow to about 1,500 by tomorrow. But so what have you guys been up to, man? I haven't had you guys both on a podcast in quite a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, we tried to do something, or we were going to do a 3-man show recently to raise money for Aaron Brewster, but I didn't come in until the last 5 minutes because I was babysitting
my kids.
my own kids.
Okay.
Which we had to correct.
Which
Yes.
we had to correct. You're not babysitting your own kids, okay?
That's right.
That's called fatherhood.
Yes.
I made that mistake. I said that on the live stream. I made that mistake. My daughter was maybe a year old, and my wife heard me tell my friend, well, I can't go golf. I'm babysitting my daughter. And she went, you're what? Mm-hmm. We don't babysit our offspring. That's your fatherly duty. So it stuck in my mind. And when you said that, I laughed so hard. And I think it was just, you probably don't use that term all the time.
I didn't mean it
popped
that
out.
way. Yeah, I just meant I couldn't do the podcast because I've got a literal baby. I've got a 2-year-old. He's a toddler now.
Yeah.
But I can't just leave him. I can leave. I've got other kids that are older. And it's nice now because they're old enough to watch themselves.
Yeah.
I've got almost 12 years old.
Yeah, what are the ages?
12. Well, she's about to be 12, and then I've got a 9-year-old son and a 7-year-old daughter.
Yeah.
And they're pretty self-sufficient.
Sure.
I mean, they're at that age where they're, as long as I'm still nearby, because I go out to the shed and do the podcast because my studio's outside.
Yeah.
If they need me, they can come get me.
Yeah.
Right? But the 2-year-old can't. And I don't trust the others to watch the 2-year-old because I'll come in and he'll be hanging upside down by his feet, doing something crazy.
I'm laughing because these young girls here
I've
don't
been
know
watching them.
that they're going to be on this video hitting each other with, look at.
Well, hello.
We're just
Yep,
recording,
she
don't
just
worry.
ran
Yeah, you'll be on a, it's okay. Which is funny because I said when we start recording, hit Keith in the head. And she's like, really? And I said, yeah.
Yeah, but
right
she almost accidentally actually did. They were trying not to, but now they're moving like, uh-oh.
Yeah, so we got all kinds of fun stuff here going. It's family-oriented, too. We got kids here at Fight, Laugh, Feast. Andrew, what have you been up to, man? I haven't talked to you. We talked about it a couple weeks ago, obviously, for the live stream. And then you're always doing something. Like, what do you got going on in your life right now?
I'm here. No, actually, you mentioned like Keith being all over. So this is really funny.
We'll be the judge of that.
Yeah.
As two people with senses of humor and you without one, we'll be the judge if it's funny or not.
No,
Yeah,
he's got a sense of humor, makes himself laugh all the time.
Yeah. Look, I'm funny, but looks are not everything, okay? So
I tell you, the beard is making you very masculine.
I know.
Thank you.
How do we like this beard?
Mrs. Rappaport, I have to tell you, if you watch this, let him keep the beard.
Yeah. It's better on all of us, really.
It's
on our eyes.
It's helped us all.
It's actually defined his chin. I didn't even know he had a chin until he grew a beard.
It runs into his chest.
He's going to braid it into one single.
Now the hair on his chest is going to mingle with the hair on his face.
Become an elf in Token's world, Lord.
Hey, the best part of it is I'm walking up and people don't recognize me.
Yeah.
Like David Shannon, we're sitting there. I walked up and he's just staring at me with that look like, I know I should know you.
Yeah. No, it
it's
does
all
a
in the
lot.
eyes.
Ken Powers from Let's Church.
Yeah.
I walked up and said hi to him, and he just was very gracious, said hi, and then we're having a conversation over here. He goes, wait a minute, I just recognized who you are.
So what's with the beard? Just said it's that time of year? It's time to grow it out or what?
My bride was taking care of my daughter and grandson for a month, and I had a month to grow the beard in. because the agreement we have is she keeps her hair long, I don't have a beard.
Yeah.
So we're pleasing to each other that way.
I'm telling you, let her go Presbyterian, man.
Yeah.
Let her cut that hair short. That's
How
what we
dare
call
you,
it in our
sir.
church. When a lady cuts her hair short, we say she went Presbyterian.
No, that's Lesbitarian.
Yeah. So
That's
so
PC USA, buddy.
I told her that I have to keep it if I'm coming here to fight Left East.
Yeah.
Got to keep the beard for the Reformed Conference. I mean, if I
There
let
you
it
go.
grow in,
Yeah.
but I got the most white out of all of us.
Well, you are the
I mean,
whitest of us.
If it goes another 2 or 3 inches, we're going to find you in the corner writing the institutes or something, scrolling out in like French or something.
So, but Keith was. So I've had 3 weeks. I have a pastor doing a podcast with me. He's one of the podcasters from the Patriot Pastors Podcast.
Yeah.
Wade Lentz. He's acting as a co-host with me for 3 weeks, and I end each week saying, "Hey, anything you want to promote?" He mentions his church, whatnot. Then all of a sudden, we're done. We do the 3 episodes, and then I notice Keith Foskey is doing a conference at his church. And I text him, I'm like, I've been asking you, what do you have to promote? And you don't promote that Keith is preaching at a conference at your church. He goes, oh, yeah, I forgot about that. I'm not good with the promotion.
But in his defense, Wade is the nicest guy.
Yeah.
I've never been more just absolutely felt like family at a conference. And it was just me.
Yeah.
I preached 4 nights and then did a comedy night. They wanted
No
me to do
way.
stand-up. No, I'm kidding. I was 4 nights on the Sovereignty of God. Preached Sunday morning, and Sunday night they had a family night. And he said, I just want you to cut up and do. I did magic for the kids, and then I did comedy for the adults. So it was 45 minutes of comedy.
Wow, 4 days.
Wow.
And, I mean, you were pretty much an elder in that church after that. Jeez.
Yeah.
I know elders that haven't preached that much in their own church.
It was a fun
That's
time.
crazy.
But it was, I get
That's cool.
there, and on the sign it said, Sovereignty of God by Keith Foskey. That was on the sign.
By Keith Foskey.
You made God sovereign.
I was like, this is it. This is
it.
it.
There we go. Yeah, I saw some of your comedy stuff you put out, some of the sets that you did. I feel like I saw one just a few weeks ago. Was that from that conference?
I think so.
You did a little clip? That was good stuff, man.
I'm working on it. I'm really trying to nail down what works and what doesn't.
I mean, that's what stand-up is.
That is. Yeah, you try things out. I like the process of making things funny.
Yeah.
And it is a process. It's a will.
And the nice thing about comedy is you get instant feedback. Oh, no laugh. We don't like that.
That's
laugh. Right. Okay, that worked. You switch it up next time. The next time you're on, and it is a continual I'm so fascinated with the whole process of stand-up comedy because it's the rawest form of like trial and error, feedback. You know what I mean? And a larger group, they're going to tell you. You might have a few laughs on this one, but you can get everyone to laugh on that one. And you tell stories. They're funny. They're maybe a little exaggerated. I don't know. It seemed like you not embellish, but you put the funny stuff on them. Do you got those up on your Twitter or?
It's on my YouTube
on your
page.
X
Everything.
YouTube.
If people want to find stuff, it's just keithfoskey.com. It takes you everywhere.
Takes you everywhere.
Yeah, it's
Cool.
a funnel.
And you're doing the Friday night thing.
It's a Friday Night Live. I only started that because I put out a thing and I said, if anybody has Bible questions, send me an email. And I get enough every week that I could do a show just on answering questions.
Yeah.
So now every Friday night around 10 o'clock, I do Friday Night Live, which
That's
is
cool.
me live answering questions, and then people can ask follow-up questions on YouTube.
Well, you know what the cool thing is with that is because you're on Let's.Church
Yeah.
with all those questions and answers, people can just go search your podcast, your Calvinist podcast on Let's.Church and get the answers, just have it all in transcript form and view the media.
I feel like Kenny slipped him a $50 bill. Like, hey, mention no, I love Let's Church.
Yeah,
I
Let's
take
Church
the
is
mug
awesome.
that he gave me to my church and have someone, oh, you had that made. That's funny. Let's Church. And I go, oh, no, that's the guy who uploads all my videos. And I use that as like a resource site. I'm like, when did I talk about Christian nationalism last? I'll just type it in, and then it gives me the transcript of my own videos. Like, I don't know.
I do this. I mean, look, I'm preparing for a debate early next year with Michael Brown on continuation of gifts. And Michael was like, can you give me some stuff where you've spoken on it? And I'm like, lots of times, but trying to
where's
find
it at? Like,
on Apologetics Live when anyone can come and ask anything, I never know, because it's not like it's going to be the title.
Right.
It's someone asked the question.
Or where it's at in the video.
Yeah.
Or,
And so Let's Trust Church is
That's
great.
cool.
So I just typed in charismatic gifts, tongues, healing, got
Any
all those.
keyword, yeah.
Send them the links, and here you go. Here's everything. I spoke at a Christian school, and one of the kids heard Apologetics Live where I had a guy that came in, this Indian guy that claimed to be sinlessly perfect.
Yeah.
He also claimed, ready for this.
Wait, did he eat Indian food?
I don't know.
He's Indian. He's sinned a few times on the toilet. He's lying.
So he actually tried to recover
I love
from this.
lowering the intellectual.
Yeah.
Both you guys like.
He actually
on this?
tried saying, and I have this clip, and this is the clip that the kid wanted to know. He wanted to listen to the context of it. The guy actually said, "You can sleep with a prostitute as a Christian, and as long as you do it in faith, it's not a sin."
Oh, he must have been a Hillsong pastor.
Yeah.
Oh, hey,
Bazinga.
Bazinga. We're all week. So, all right, we got less than 2 minutes here. What's the most annoying theological trend within the Reformed Christian community right now? Go, Keith. No warning. What's annoying you right now? What are we fighting over, talking about, or saying that we just go, why is this a thing right now?
Can he go first? I really
Andrew,
want,
go.
So yeah, I could say it this way.
He's never lost for words. He's not,
Wow.
He's not always right, but he's never in doubt.
Not always right, but never in doubt.
I would tweak that and say very rarely right, but
Yeah, never in doubt. We're getting a T-shirt
So-
made for that.
No, I mean, my biggest peeve is whether you want to call it the tribalism or what I refer to as platform building versus ministry.
Yeah.
I am getting so sick and tired of everyone trying to destroy other Christians to build a platform for themselves.
Yeah.
So that they're not really doing ministry, but they claim they are.
Sure.
It's like, oh, let's find someone we can attack. Someone we have to find. We always have to have someone that we're going to go after.
Yeah.
And the cancel culture. I mean, look how quickly Stephen Lawson got canceled.
Yeah.
And we still don't know what happened.
Yeah.
We have no idea. You know, like when we first heard, it sounded really bad, and then we find out, oh wait, it wasn't a sexual relationship. It wasn't even a physical relationship. It's what was called an overtly romantic
Sure.
communication. Well, what is that? That's not biblical terms. Like, I don't know that I can say he's disqualified because I don't know what happened.
Right. But that's the problem is no one's really waiting for what happened. They're just divvying up in camps and
People
going
are like, oh, I can't.
for, against.
I'm
yeah.
selling much of my library, and I'm kind of glad that I sold all my Steve Lawson books before that thing happened because I don't know that I'd be able to sell them now.
That's
Because
the
no matter
worst.
what happens with Steve, I want to make sure I'm taking care.
I was like, that is the worst thing. Stock was up when I sold this. Oh my gosh, dude. Yeah, his stock was up. I made out. Okay, that's look. It was a serious.
I have,
but
an,
it is-
I have an answer now.
people-
The thing that's
Yeah.
bothering me most in
Pe-
Christianity is Andrew Rappaport.
You're not alone. You're not alone.
You're not alone. Oh, that's funny.
No, but it's like,
yeah, it's a
but it
serious
is a thing where people are like, I can't read anything he ever.
Yeah, it's
What?
stupid.
It was the same thing with Alistair Begg. People are like, oh, I can't read anything from him. I can't listen to
Yeah.
him. Like, people are just removing everything, tossing everything they have from these guys. And it's like, okay, with Alistair Begg, we have a little bit more clarity.
Okay, so what you're saying is you approve of affairs and homosexuality. All right, moving
Wow.
on.
Okay,
I'm
Kamala
kidding.
Harris.
Okay. I deserve that. No, it's a serious matter. We're kind of joking about, but I get your point. Like, because I was the same way. Let's wait and see. Let's give him, we should give our brothers that same type of grace.
Yeah.
And man, Twitter X. Here's the thing: the Reformed guys used to be the guys that were like the wait and see, let's make sure, and now we've divvied up in camp and tribalism,
Yeah.
and it's really, really annoying to me. I don't like it.
Really interesting. And I'm sorry, Keith, I'll say this quickly, but I was talking with Michael Brown in prep for this discussion we're having, and I said to him, I said, he was criticizing the Reform folks saying, or cessationist folks saying that we're too legalistic. We're quick to shut people down and cancel people, and I said, I'll take that. We are kind of quick on that way, but on your camp, you have so much grace that you lack discernment. And he goes, you're right.
Yeah. I mean, extremes either way aren't good, right? What are you thinking, Keith? Let's take us out here. Let's finish up.
I think that it's similar to what he said. I'm going to nail another, maybe a further down issue.
Okay.
Is within Reformed practices, churches, and whatever, there is this divide over matters that are not primary.
Yeah.
But people want to make them primary.
Yeah.
And so if we disagree on things that aren't primary issues, I mean, I have been called, all kinds of terrible names by people who would
like
ostensibly be. Well, no, I mean, the word antinomian, things like that,
Sure.
Which I think is unfair when you really understand the position that I hold.
Sure.
Those types of things is not seeking to really understand people, but we're wanting to immediately label someone. And that goes to the whole tribalism thing.
Yep.
Because you're
to
not
know if you're in my camp or not.
That's right.
Yeah.
So, like, for instance, recently I had a guy just come after me on YouTube. I was in the comments, and I normally don't even respond because I get a lot of comments, I get a lot of videos.
But I was glad that you responded to me.
Oh, yeah.
Andrew's over there. Cowboy keyboard and Keith.
I knew it wasn't him because the words were spoke correctly, but
and that's why he does stand-up, ladies and gentlemen. He's quick on his feet.
That's right.
I mean, literally, not physically.
I was going to say.
Just remember, he's got a couple of black belts. Just remember that in karate.
I'm wearing one.
Ooh, are those compression socks?
No, but these are slip-ons. These I do not have to these are old man shoes.
I love my Vans because I can act like I'm still in style a little bit, but they're just slip-ons. They're just slippers, Vans. But anyway, sorry, get back.
Well,
to
this guy on YouTube came on. He blasted me in a long paragraph, and I almost just put TLDR. Right, too long, didn't read. Right? Like that's what I do with a lot of these things. But I was like, you know what? I'm actually gonna respond to this guy. I ended up going back and forth with him 3 or 4 times, and he finally offered an apology. Oh, because good. I showed him that what he was saying was
first time in internet history. Mark the time and date, folks.
But I was like, okay, this is where the problem is. He was willing to make a statement about what I teach and believe that wasn't true. When I showed him it wasn't true, at least he recognized that it wasn't.
That's encouraging.
And I was happy about that, but it's that type of thing. We're very ungracious. We lack the willingness to say, is this what this person's really saying? And this is going back to what you were talking about with Michael Brown. Yes, I do think in Pentecostal world there's too much openness.
Yeah.
But within Reformed circles, it's the other way. We're so quick to say, no, these guys just suck. And speaking of guys who suck.
There we go. Parker Brown.
Parker Brown about to walk in. We love you. Wait. And there you go.
Parker Brown Watch Well podcast. Go check them out, guys. All right, we're going to finish this up. We're just doing 15, 20-minute snippets the whole weekend. We're going to mash them up. Obviously, we don't know who's coming up next, so stick around for whoever's sitting in the chairs next. Keith, Andrew, you guys might even be back on again because love these brothers. And we're going to be down at the War War Conference in February. I'll be hosting. I think. Are you there speaking? Are you there speaking?
I'm speaking. I'm speaking on sanctification and parenthood. What are you talking about?
Tullahoma, Tennessee.
Yeah.
I forgot. He's speaking on dementia and how it affects the
it's in
elderly.
Colossians.
I actually prepare my sermons beforehand.
So do I, but it is February.
Yeah, it's a ways away.
I had a couple conferences before this. I had to.
All right, we're getting to Buried in Psalms, and we'll be back with whoever's next. See you guys.
You can just do a clap.
Well, if you I can run it right to the phone, and then the audio's coming through there. So
okay.
Figure it out later, but yeah. So we're just dropping right in because we're mashing these all up. I got Will Spencer podcast, the new, renamed, rebranded,
upgraded,
second time on the podcast for Will.
Yes.
And then Tate, you're with
Be Regenerated.
Be Regenerated. You're out in Ogden now.
Yep,
we were talking about that.
Just moved to Ogden this summer, yeah.
Is this your first time at Fight Laugh Feast?
It is.
And yours too, right?
Yes.
There you go. First time on Dead Men Walking podcast at Fight Laugh Feast. And Will, you've been on before. We did something months ago, 6 months ago, a year. I don't know. It
6 months, a year, something like that, yeah.
But I saw you over there doing interviews, hanging out. What's your guys' experience so far at Fight Laugh Feast? We're in the first full day. How's it going?
Excellent. Yeah. It's been a great time. Yeah, absolutely.
And so you're out in Ogden. Where are you at again?
I'm in Phoenix.
You're in Phoenix. Oh, man, you're in that dry heat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Born and raised. Solar powered.
So first time here. You guys are getting in some good interviews. I know you're doing your thing as well at your booth. We got good speakers coming up. We just heard George Grant. I think he just got off stage.
Yep.
I don't know too much about George Grant. I want to have him on. Do you guys know anything about him? I mean, he's been prolific for a long time.
He has an elder statesman kind of vibe in my mind. That's where I have him. And the way that he was talking,
Yeah.
you know, I was interviewing Isaac from T-Rex Arms while George Grant was talking, and the things that I was picking up, just the couple phrases that I would get during the interview, like, okay, elder statesman is where he's sort of coming from.
Yeah.
Regal is the word that comes to mind
Yep,
for me.
excellent.
Yeah, absolutely. The cool thing I like about Fight, Laugh, Feast, and that I've experienced over the last 5 years of coming to these, is it's really opened up to, you know, obviously the cross-politic guys, Presbyterian. We have a lot of Reformed Baptists here as well. Jeffrey Rice, if you're listening, I'll call you a Reformed Baptist. Well, I guess you're Reformed. I don't know. We'll see.
Oh, man. Shots fired.
Shots fired. No, he knows. I love him. But also, we're seeing I've met some non-denom guys here. I've met some Anglicans. I've met, you know, it's kind of growing to where it's like we're all pulling in the same direction on some core things.
Yeah.
That's reaching a broader audience of seeing where our country's at and things like that, which is nice. So when you come here, we kind of all know we're kind of under this heading, and like I said, we're all rowing in the same direction, which is nice. If you guys experience Elevate, have you got out to be able to talk to anyone or meet some new people and make some new connections?
I think the thing for me is the feeling of being in the room.
Yeah.
So this is my first Fight, Laugh, Feast, and I've been to a number of Reformed Christian conferences. I was at New Christendom. I've been to Reform Con at Apologia back in 2022.
Yeah.
And those are small conferences.
Okay.
To come here and to walk into a room full of 1,500 people, you can hear the echoing sound in the background. You've got dozens of businesses with really well put together booths. Your Be Regenerated booth looks really nice. That's some really nice.
Yeah, we're
artwork.
looking at it. I'm right next door to him. Yeah.
But
Thank you very much.
You get a sense of the time and energy and effort and manpower that has been put into building this Christian theological economic ecosystem.
Yeah.
And you get a sense that there's something really big going on here. Now, it's not massive compared to some, like, you know, Vegas style conferences. It's a representation of that, but at a way smaller scale, but it feels solid and real, that there's something that men can push off from here into their own lives. And that's what I'm really enjoying about this. And
it's a fun pairing you two, because I don't think you two have met, and it's kind of, I always bring weird pairs on the podcast, but why I wanted to have both you guys on too is because, well, just talking to you, very intellectual, very theological, very doctrinal, and Tate, I'm not saying you're not, but you're tackling the other side of it, which is like health, being active, being physical, and I found those two are absolutely linked, because anytime I'm not being healthy, I'm not being organized, I'm not being physical, it's a lack of discipline and self-control, which then gets us right back to the theological underpinnings of that.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool to where, you know, if I'm allowed to call you an intellectual, you probably wouldn't call yourself that, but I think so when I listen to your podcast and hear you talk. Very well articulated with those things. And then Tate, we just met, but I love the fact what you said, and maybe you could expand on that a little bit, of men out on an island and going, okay, I've got all this theological stuff, but my physical, personal life, it's not translating into that.
Right.
I'm sleeping in too late. I'm not being active. I'm eating junk food. I'm driving through the drive-through and, you know, being lethargic and apathetic. Talk a little bit about what you guys are doing to kind of join those two things, like in practice, the theological underpinnings of self-control, discipline, all those things.
Yeah, I think what we're doing is a natural outflow of all of this. These guys are really into applying theology, and so this stuff has to be set down, and the rubber has to meet the road somewhere. I think the freedom for guys like me is I can be extremely interested in all of the intellectual side. I can be doing a lot of reading and listening, but I don't have to be the person that speaks to every single issue from a theological or political standpoint. There are guys here who are better experts on that than me, and I'm following their leadership on those things. But I think you do have a room here that tends to lean that way hard. Yeah. And so we tend to forsake some of this other stuff that's a little bit more basic and low-hanging fruit.
Yeah.
And so we're hitting that stuff. Like you said, are we being disciplined in our everyday lives? Are we applying this all of Christ to all of life in the way that we prepare meals, in the way that you take care of your body, in the longevity that you're seeking to pursue for your family and your people? And all of that stuff is really pretty basic. Yeah. It's not super complicated for the most part, unless there's some outlier, condition that you need to take care of. But for most guys, it's just getting them moving and avoiding the garbage that is being fed to you physically by Trash World, because it's just as bad as the stuff that's intellectually being fed to you by Trash World.
Yeah.
And so we've got to tackle both of those things. Yeah, for sure.
Praise God.
Yeah, I'm going to make a confession, because I think it's just, I can sit down and read a very intricate book on theology or doctrine, and I like that. And most people go, oh, that seems hard. That seems easy to me. The hard part for me is actually getting up and being disciplined to go work out, to go run, to go eat the healthy thing, because I lack self-control, like a man with, no self-control. It's a city without walls. And I go, oh, I want that hit of the salty fry or the greasy burger or whatever, right? Because it's easy. And it's like, where's that disconnect for us? I mean, really for men is, and I'm the first to admit this, you see someone like me who is not taking care of his body, that to me says, okay, there's an absolute lack of self-control and discipline. You can know all the terminology and say all the right things biblically, but if we're not like doing that very basic thing, that's why I say the two are so linked. It's
Absolutely.
like, I feel sometimes I'm like, yeah, I gave into that horrible thing. I'm a city without walls. Like, that needs to be in check. And I'm not saying we all need to be, bodybuilders and weightlifters and stuff, but both you guys take care of yourself physically too. So it's like, yeah, we need to aspire towards that, right?
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
what does that say about us, Will, when we say we can have all the right terminology and we're in this denomination, we can intersect everything, but then the very simple thing of being organized and disciplined and self-controlled in what we eat and how we act and how we move, man, it's like you got a floodgate, you got a hole in your boat, and you're trying to, take the bucket and...
Yeah. I want to pitch you a way to think about this.
Okay.
So I have often said that if you could snap your fingers and spend 24 hours in your ideal body, like, right? At the end of 24 hours, you would be begging to stay there forever.
Okay.
Right? The reality is that most people in America today have never known what it is to feel truly healthy. Just the embodied experience of being healthy, of whether it be lean or whether it be strong or fast, whatever that is for each individual man, which is different. So to actually experience that is so powerfully transformative, I don't ever want to go back. So I'll give you a good example from my life. I moved back to the United States in February of 2020. I've been living overseas in New Zealand. So I moved back to the United States and I was 220 pounds. So like not particularly strong, skinny fat going towards like fat, really high body fat percentage for my build. Then COVID happened. I spent the next 6 months and I lost 40 pounds, right? I got down to like the leanest I'd ever been, 175, right? I felt amazing. And it was out of that moment that I started my podcast, The Renaissance of Men. I felt like I could take on the entire world just having that experience. And I think if everyone could give themselves the gift of, depending on who you are, 3, 6, 12 months worth of discipline, just to say, you know what? I want to know what it's like to be me, looking and feeling and performing this way, just so I can know, because no one can give that to me. Yeah. No one can. They can't even communicate to you what it would be like to be you at your ideal body type. And so you can think of it in terms of like, I don't have the discipline to do these daily things, and that is a valid way of thinking about it. Or you can say, I have a desired goal in the future, 3, 6, however many months out it is, and I want to do that just so I can know what it feels like to be me when I get there. I think that is something that if more people understood that, they would pursue it more forcefully.
Yeah.
I think the people in this room in particular need to understand that this is actual sin. Like,
that's true too.
That sloth and gluttony are actually sin. Like,
I want to talk to you about that.
Yeah. And I don't know why that's this thing that we sort of just brush over, but it is.
Yes.
And it's I don't know how we're able to put the blinders up the way that we are, but we have for quite some time now. It is one of the sins that you just wear around, and you can see it.
Yep.
It's not hard to distinguish. Like it's very obvious, and so understanding that there's abdication going on there, especially for men, in the responsibilities that they have as men before God, to behave and live in a certain way And in my opinion, I think this is low-hanging fruit. I'm not saying it's easy by any means, but it is
But
simple.
it's obvious.
It's very obvious and simple, and the things that you need to do are not complicated. But it does take a tremendous amount of diligence and faith to just do the thing today that you know is not going to yield any fruit tomorrow.
Yeah.
But it will in a month.
Yeah.
It will in 3 months. It will in 6 months, like Will just said.
Yeah.
And so us being able to develop a post-millennialism about that, and like this long vision, this time horizon that is out in front of us a ways, and knowing that if we're diligent and faithful in these small things, they will pay off. And there are rewards for it. And I don't know why everyone thinks that you're only going to get some tangible benefit from this tangible training. Obviously you will.
Yeah, of course.
Physical benefits are going to come from physical training, but I think that the more rewarding side of it is the intangible part.
Amen.
The discipline, the confidence, the ability to carry weight and gravitas into a room because you know what you're capable of.
Yeah.
Those are things that we are majorly lacking, and not to come at this in like a seeker-sensitive type way, but aesthetics matter.
They do.
They win people. And those things are really important. I think it's something that we need to put our stamp on and take that ground back. That's something that we should steal back from the world. We own aesthetics. Human beauty belongs to God.
Yeah.
Amen. Can I jump off that for a second?
Absolutely.
One of the things I want to point out is there are these very powerful words that Scripture uses to define sin that for whatever reason do not land anymore. It drives me crazy. One of them is gluttony.
Yeah.
Gluttony is a defined sin. Proverbs is all about gluttony, right? Sloth is another one. Fornication is another one. These are heavy-duty, sin-describing words that when you say them to people, they just like, okay, I don't know what that means. And I don't understand it. Yeah. Those should be so powerfully convicting to be accused of sloth, gluttony, fornication, and all these other, but no one seems to care. And I don't get it, but it's something that needs to change because those words used to mean something.
Yeah.
They used to mean you are leaving God's law. You're leaving the narrow path. When you begin pursuing these, no one cares anymore. And so we have to rediscover the impact of those words.
Yeah, well, I mean, what I've, and kind of to both of your points is, I've been working through going, well, I hate hypocrisy in doctrine and theology, but I'm a walking hypocrisy because I say we don't give into the culture, right? We bow to Christ, not the culture. But I've embraced the culture of rejecting delayed gratification. I've embraced gluttony and obesity, and I'm saying a lot of us have too. I mean, just like I said, and it's very easy too to eat unhealthily, to be inactive. To your greater point as well, you know, about 5 years ago, I was about 30 pounds lighter, and I can tell you, it's a game changer in the way you think, the way you feel in the morning, the way you get. I own a business. I feel much more motivated. You know, when you're eating unhealthily and you're not moving, there's a mental thing there too. I mean, you can even get into the spiritual part of it as well, but just apathy. And that's not good if you're a business owner, a husband, a father, right? A homeschooling father. Like, so I've really been interested in seeing, there's underlying issues when you're not fit, when you're not active, kind of like you guys were saying. And it's crazy how we've just not made that important. We've kind of ignored it, like you said, like you said, gluttony, obesity, right? Self-control. I don't know. We hammer on the fornication part. We need to figure out the stuff about porn and fornication
within
and
the
adultery.
church, yes.
Within the church, I'm saying. But then, you know, and I'm getting that sermon from a pastor that's obese. That, you know, and look, I don't want to seem like we're picking on anyone that's, you know, over. I'm saying, like you said, it's a walking billboard of I lack self-control and discipline.
It's hypocrisy.
And then you go, okay, well, does that qualify you as an elder or a shepherd? Or you know, that's the way I think, is because it leads to other things. It's led to other things in my life. If I lack self-control in what I'm going to put in my body, I'm going to lack self-control with what I do with my body. Does that make sense?
And
Absolutely.
I would also say real quick, not only has it led to you not doing certain things, it has led to certain things that you will never know not coming into your life.
Oh, that's true.
You will never know the blessings that didn't come to you because someone may have looked at you and unconsciously thought that dude's a walking hypocrite. Versus if you were in integrity, you don't know what doors would open. This is what I mean, is we don't have the experience of what it means to live in integrity physically, and so we don't know what that is to walk out our lives that way.
I also think it's a clear just brushing over of the fact that this is how man originally fell into sin, was with food. And we just brush over that like it's not a big deal.
Appeasing to the eye, right?
It is literally the thing that like men throughout all of human history, this is the sin that men fall into, is sex and food.
Yeah.
And they are the things that are extremely potent. Like the sacrament is food that is given to you. Wow. It's living bread. And for some reason, we just brush over those things. We're really into, like you said, we're really into identifying the sexual sins of the culture, but we totally brush over this part.
Yeah.
And it's just, like you said, it's easy today to run by and grab fast food somewhere. And we don't think of that as a moral decision. I think we ought to.
Yeah, so for anyone listening, I don't want them to be discouraged by this. I want them to be encouraged. So let's really think about these things, right? Obviously, you're doing something in that space. You're doing something in that space. Because like I said, I think it's all interconnected.
It is.
It really is with how we live for Christ, mortifying, killing sin every single day. Let's not bow to the culture and allow some of these sins to just go unanswered.
No, I think for sure the same principles of sanctification have to be applied here. This is not something where I think everyone needs to flip their life upside down overnight and everything has to change all at once and you have to be a different person tomorrow.
Won't work anyway.
But that's true.
But I think you apply that same thing where like, all right, well, what could I do? What's the one thing I could do this week and focus on? And then you start making those small changes, and before you know, you have this critical mass, and the snowball starts rolling downhill. And inevitably, I've seen this with almost every person I've ever talked to that got into fitness at some point in their life, which is a weird modern thing. We didn't used to like be into fitness or not into fitness.
This new thing called yogging.
Yeah,
it's an Anchorman, right?
It's kind of like a silly modern first world thing, but everyone that gets into it inevitably. They end up sort of falling in love with it, and they're like, I can't believe I didn't start this sooner. And it's going to be better for you. It's not like some punishment. Yeah. This is a reward. Like, righteousness is good for you.
It's also crazy to think, like, 150, 200 years ago, Americans had, like, really hard days' work where they got their activity in.
Yeah.
Sun up to sundown, whether it was in agriculture or manufacturing. And now we're in a society where you can sit somewhere all day. You have to actually go out of your way to get activity in.
Yeah.
Any type of physical activity. And then on top of that, every corner has... My son, he's going through an allergy thing, right? So we cut out soy, eggs, dairy, artificial flavors, corn syrup, right? So you start label reading. And then you go, oh my good, soy is in everything.
Yeah.
Because it's such a cheap
soy,
crop.
Sugar,
corn is in everything.
Yeah.
Fructose is right, and you go, what are we eating? And my kid's only 10, and it was funny because after a 60-day cleanse, he lost 10 pounds, bags under his eyes went away. He's eating a third of what he was before because the side effect of his allergies always feels he's hungry. Point being is, he's a different kid in 60 days, and then I felt as a parent, I go, what am I doing? Mm-hmm. And we try to limit sugar. They don't drink soda, stuff like that. But just the average thing you buy, and it's like, okay, so now there's like a discernment and a wisdom thing that comes into this too. Like, what do I buy? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what's going into my body? Like,
what can I buy?
What can I buy, right?
Yeah.
And we found that the myth of, it's so expensive to eat healthy, not true.
No.
It's actually more expensive for like the snacky boxes of snacks and all the stuff that they push at you at the Costco and the Walmart, whatever. It's actually less expensive to eat healthy. It's just you got to get over that hump of, it's not that carb hit, that sugar hit, that thing that my taste buds or my body's craving because I've been eating like, I don't know how this got not health food, but it's just very interesting to me to how quick and how the Lord has designed us, how quickly the body can adapt and go, okay,
absolutely.
You're giving me good stuff. I'm moving, I'm doing stuff. Yeah, let's go in that direction. It's like our bodies were created and yearns for that.
Yep.
We just got to get past that sin. It's the sin that's keeping us in that junk food and inactivity and things like that.
Absolutely.
I'm going to say something really controversial right now.
I like it.
I think that there's more benefit in changing from processed food to single ingredient real food, apples, steak, rice, right? To move from Cheetos to apples, than there is to go to like, oh, well, it has to be organic. It has to be free range.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people, they look at this and they say, oh, well, I have to go get this organic or whatever the buzzword, sustainable, regenerative is the new one. Sure. I like being regenerated, by the way, but regenerative farming.
No, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
That's the new marketing word. So whatever, bespoke, whatever. So like a lot of people will think that they have to go in and go to the grocery store and buy the really expensive, like capital O organic stuff. No. If the first step that you take is just to make your diet single ingredient real food, that will get you at least 80% of the way there, and everything beyond that is marginal, because a lot of people do rightfully look at organic food and it is quite expensive.
Sure.
Like you can look at an apple for $2 and then you can go to McDonald's for like a Big Mac for $1. How is it that this burger, which is made of a bun and quote unquote meat and like lettuce and all these toppings plus labor to assemble it, costs $1, and an apple that grows in a tree, someone picks it and throws it in a truck, is $2? How does that make sense? It doesn't. Yeah. It doesn't. But if you can begin, it's exactly right. That's where our tax dollars, that's where our Federal Reserve money is going. So, but people look at this and they are rightfully intimidated by the price of some organic, kind of like a niche kind of things. You don't have to do that. It is enough to eat the real food kind of things that people 150 years ago would have just taken for granted.
Yeah.
Practically, one way to do that is just stop going into the middle part of grocery stores.
Yes.
Stay on the edge.
Stay on the perimeter.
I like that.
Don't go in the middle.
And when I said inexpensive too, I want to clarify as we wrap this up. I was saying too, in my own personal life, it was like all the little add-on things that you buy at a grocery store that you absolutely don't need.
Right.
Could easily fund the 10% or 15% increase in what I needed to buy to go clean.
Oh, sure, yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Like, and it was stuff that you don't even really. Oh, well, it's a healthy fruit pack. It's a. It's sparkling water. It's all these things. It's a 12-pack of Pepsi. Like, you don't really need that, right? So it's like this weird thing where it's like once we cut that out, my grocery bill actually went down to going to like one ingredient stuff. Like I'm not I'm not. Well, yeah, we are grass-fed on the beef because I know a butcher.
Sure,
I actually met him here at Fight Laugh Feast. Buy a
totally
half a cow
different.
at a time, right?
Yeah.
But I'm saying you don't have to go full on crazy. Baby steps get you 80% of the way there, like you were saying. But the food is the big thing. And I just want to say to listeners, and I'll give you guys the last word too, don't think this is about some type of, like you said, seeker-friendly or even legalistic. This is like a real thing that self-control, discipline, wisdom, discernment, all these are linked to these subjects that we're talking about. And it's been really clear to me for over a year. And the only reason why I haven't is because I have some sanctification in those areas. Like, you have to admit that first. So I don't want anyone to be discouraged. Take this as an encouragement, right? Yeah. Be theological, be doctrinal, be denominated, all those things. Read the books, go through the institutes, all your stuff. But also, you got to add this part in too. Yeah. Because you got a hole in your boat.
Yeah. I want to, and just to close out, I'll just respond to that. So if someone is listening, and I'm gonna challenge the people who are listening. If you're listening to this and your thought is either that's legalistic or that's seeker-friendly, if your first thought is to attempt to dismiss everything that we're saying because you want to apply some theological label to it or whatever, that is in itself a symptom of the problem. We're giving good, grounded advice about how to live as embodied beings on God's earth, how to value what He's given to us. And if your first instinct is to try and throw it out using theological categories, you're wrong. Like, you need to listen to what we're saying. And I hope you do, because we're saying it as your Christian brothers, and to get past that initial resistance and ask very hard questions. And I promise that the answers and the process of answering them and the process of achieving the right answers will be so profoundly rewarding in every possible way that it's worth that initial discomfort to overcome the instinct to dismiss it.
Awesome. Tate, you got a final word?
Yeah, absolutely true to that. I think we need to understand also that this is related to our theology.
Yeah.
And we have become, in many ways, functionally Gnostic, where we divorce the physical from the spiritual and we act like they're not touching at all. And so I think we theologically need to deal with this. And if you're a theologically minded person, deal with it from that angle and see if you can come to a good conviction on this, because I think Will's absolutely right. If your knee-jerk reaction is to go, these guys just want me to be a bodybuilder or something, that hasn't been said. I wouldn't say that.
Yeah.
This is about being the best you can be for the glory of God, for the good of your people, And I think in many cases we're in sin when we just shun it and avoid it.
There you go. So, didn't know how the mashup would work with Will from the Will Spencer podcast and Tate from Be Regenerated, but it worked out. Look at you guys.
That was awesome.
You guys know your stuff. We had a little snippet here. As always, guys, we're going to be doing 15, 20-minute mashups the whole weekend, so we don't know who's coming up next. But just since we're kind of halfway through this one, remember to check out DMWpodcast.com, where you can find out more about us. Visit the merch store. Get one of these nice little Wine 'em, Dine 'em, Romans 9 'em mugs. We got those there. That always makes the guests laugh.
That's so good.
Or the new shirt, Job 13:5. Why don't you shut up and let that be your wisdom? Sometimes you have to just quote scripture to the pagans, even if they don't like it. So, guys, we'll be back in a little bit with 2 new guests. We don't know who it is. Stick around. See it double right now. No.
You're living life on
We're going to put it right here for now. Oh, my gosh. We got Chase and Andrew. Chase is just walking around drugging people at the Fight Lab Peace Conference. Hold on.
Okay, just for the record, before this gets started, we have to just say you were given the choice. I was an eyewitness.
He just put it back in.
So Chase is with 1689 Cigar, some of the best cigars ever, premium cigars, and I've always said the presentation is awesome too. Y'all know Andrew. He's hanging out with us, this Andrew Rappaport, Striving for Eternity. Man, I can't think straight. Jeez, I forgot his name. I said his name and didn't think I said his name. Wow. So basically what's going on here, tell him what you got right there on the chair.
This is going to be the best podcast there.
Oh, guys.
I got nicotine pouches, and they sent me 20 milligram ones, and
wow.
You typically only do 3 and 6, and this crazy guy.
Well, it tastes so good though. I mean, there's still flavor in it. I'm seeing what I'm saying. I'm seeing the words as I'm saying it. No, not really. No, we're not doing hallucinogenics here. No, it's powerful, and I go, why would they send you that?
I have no idea why they sent me 20 milligrams.
So for folks who don't know, what is the normal milligrams that people would have of nicotine, like in a cigar or in a cigarette or something?
Yeah, 3 to 6 milligrams is the normal.
Is normal.
Yeah, if you're doing 20 milligrams, you are.
And so you offered, you have these samples, and you offered him choices.
I haven't offered
here.
anybody.
Can you guys hear my heartbeat, or is that just me? Can you hear that? No. Just kidding. It's crazy, dude.
I didn't offer anybody these. He said he wanted to try.
He wanted to try, but you offered him a choice of 2 different amounts. So what were the choices you gave him?
Well, I gave him 20 or 12, and he said, "Go big or go home."
Hey, don't tell all my secrets on the podcast. Jeez, make me look like a complete animal.
Well, you can always edit things out. It is your podcast.
That's true. No, we don't do that here at Dead Man. We don't leave anything on the cutting room floor. You guys see it all, but
so you're not like CBS,
MSNBC. Just edit it. So, jeez, I got a clear head here. Got to clear my head. Finally speechless on my own podcast. You did it, Chase. So are you coming out with these, or you're like testing them, or what's going on?
Yeah, so we brought these here just to test them. They're going to be called the Dort.
Yeah, what do you do? I just put in a Dort.
So any chance you're going to get the 20, and you'll just call it the Dead Man Walking?
Seriously, literally, you will be a dead man. Those are not for like human consumption. Like, you have danger in a little pouch there. That's what you're doing. You're walking around. It's just, well, to be truthfully honest, it's a really big head rush. It feels lightheaded. You feel, think about nicotine. I mean, when you hit a really good cigar and you're kind of getting that nice little mellow feeling, it's that times like 10. What do we got over there? It's Cody from Westminster Effects. So you're not going to do the 20 line, though. Is that what you're saying?
No.
But if you do, you definitely have to call it the Dead Man Walking line. Okay.
We'll work it out, yeah. The crazy thing is I keep thinking about it. I want to put it back in. I mean,
you're making me want to try one.
I can't even focus. It's good, dude.
I haven't had the blueberry.
So tell us about 1689 now. You've never officially been on the podcast. We did the bracket, which was awesome. Who won that? Who won that?
I think round 1 was pretty good, but round 2 I wasn't a fan of.
You were.
I wasn't a fan of.
Poor Andrew. All my brackets, he gets put up against like James White, Doug Wilson. No, who was it? Phil Johnson. Like heavy hitters in round 1.
Yeah. The winner was the non-cigar smoking Keith Foskey.
Oh, that's
He came over to the booth last night and he said he did try our cigars. So
Okay,
he has
good.
smoked at least one.
So he tried it. That's
Does
good.
he want that known? Did you just out him?
Hey, we're not editing.
But I think it was it was one of the flavored ones. Right?
Yeah, it was one of the flavored
Yeah.
ones.
Yeah.
Which as a Levite, I really have a problem you calling them Pharisees. I just
Oh my gosh.
I'm taking that personal offense.
Well, you shouldn't. Come on, you're not a Pharisee. No, I wanted to talk about 1689 a little bit because you got a booth here at Fight Laugh Feast. Like I said, we talked about this yesterday. The bands and the design is unparalleled, I think, in the Reformed cigar community. I'd put it up against any $20, $30, $40 stick you'd find in a cigar shop, how well it just presents. We're not even talking about the premium tobacco and the way it tastes, because that's awesome. But we were kind of talking too, to where even novices and people who maybe don't smoke, they'll gravitate towards the presentation of the band or the actual cigar. And I think you guys have even done a nice job on that. And then when you actually open it up, what'd you give me last night? Or no, 2 nights. Was it 2 nights ago? You gave me one.
Yeah, that nicotine's really
I don't know.
working well.
It was last night.
Oh, was it?
It was a Pharisee.
It was the Pharisee.
The honey vanilla.
What I like about your cigars too is sometimes you get a cigar and it is rough that first third. You really got to get an acquired taste for it.
Yeah.
Yours seem to open up like right away. I don't know if that's like you meant to do that, or is that just I don't smoke good enough tobacco to, you know what I mean? Like it's just all the way through the stick. It's good.
You got to stop smoking the cheap stuff.
So
it could be
so
either
stop
or.
smoking Black and Milds from the Shell gas station.
Yeah,
That's what
just
you're
stick with
saying.
1689. All right, just stop with the cheap stuff.
Yeah, it could be either or because I actually blend all the.
Going back in, boys.
Oh man.
Go ahead.
And then into the Twilight Zone. So it could be either or.
Chase. How?
By tonight, he's going to be like loop-de-loops, like.
By the night, he's going to ask me for another one.
Why is Greg on the roof of the Will Rogers Memorial Center saying he's a golden god? Oh, sorry. You were answering.
I forgot what I was answering.
I don't know.
I'm just.
I mean, you use premium tobacco
The
in
question was
it.
about the fact that when he has your cigar, it just opens up right away.
Oh yeah. So I blended the cigars for my palate, and so I hate that harshness at the front of the cigar.
Yeah.
So we blended all that harshness out, and
Nice.
there's some people that love that harshness. I'm not one of those. I would rather have smooth flavor the whole time, and then if you get a Maduro, you're going to get that nicotine hit, but the other ones you're not going to get. The cigar blues is what we call it.
Okay. Can you give us a preview of what's going to be going on the at the cigar party, the VIP?
Yeah, so at the VIP cigar party, there's going to be a lot of bourbon, a lot of whiskey, a lot of beer, and then we're going to be testing out the Pharisees. That's what we're going to be using there that night. They pair really well with whiskeys, and so just seeing how people like them, and if they do, we're going to go forward with that as a new blend.
So do you kind of have that in mind too when you're designing your cigar, like what it'll pair with?
Yeah.
Do you put that on your website or no? I can't remember.
Yeah, so we're going to actually have like a separate website that's going to do like cigar reviews, and then it'll show what things are paired with and that pair well with it. And then also there's going to be like beginner tips, novice tips.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah, and then we have a challenge coin like this one. It's a Chooch coin.
Hold that up so we can see it. Okay, very cool.
Yeah.
And what do you do with that?
Well, so that coin, if you come to any of our cigar lounges as we franchise around the United States, you can have that.
Oh, look at that. Got me a 1689 challenge. All right, what do I do with it?
I had to buy mine.
Well, why is your head a crocodile right now? Just kidding. I had to buy mine. No, I'm kidding. So what do you do with it? Tell people with the challenge coins, because they can get them on the website.
Yeah, there's only going to be, we haven't even put them on the website because they sell so quick. we only made 100 of those ones, and the reason why we did it is if you go to our cigar lounge and you bring that in and you show you have it, there's a special blend that we're going to have in every cigar lounge, and you'll get it for free. But obviously you pay for the challenge point, so up front you pay $10.
Some of us have to pay for it.
Some of us, yeah.
Don't make me feel bad. So where's your cigar lounge at?
Clarksville, Tennessee.
Clarksville, Tennessee. And then aren't you doing something with CR? With Wiley?
Maybe. Yeah.
It's just still kind of, you're in the works.
There's a lot of interest there.
A lot of interest there.
Say that.
Okay, and where's he thinking about putting down roots for his building?
Battlegrounds, Washington.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you guys are just physical locations, just in Clarksville?
Yeah.
But then obviously website, you ship out.
Yeah, and then we're looking for one. There's going to be one in PA, Pittsburgh area.
Okay.
Down here at DFW, we're looking at franchising out here, and then there's one out in Oregon that we're looking at franchising as well.
Do you guys do any other conferences besides Fight Laugh Feast? Do you go other places, or pretty much here?
No, we went to Trad Dad last weekend.
Okay.
And I was up for like 52 hours. That was fun. Getting here.
I think we got to get him out to the war. Jeffrey Rice.
That would be a good one.
Yeah, I think
that's only like an hour away from me.
Tullahoma.
Yeah, Tullahoma. So you should definitely do that.
You should stop by because you got a bunch of cigar-smoking Reformed Baptists at that one.
Oh, really? There's actually Baptists that say they smoke.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I know. We actually saw one person, if you remember.
Okay.
I'm not going to name name, but who came to the conference, first time.
Okay. But I still don't know who you're talking about, but go ahead.
Yeah. We found out he enjoys a cigar. But so you're
okay. You're being.
Yeah, I don't want to out him.
If I wasn't on 20 milligrams of nicotine, I'd probably know who you're talking about. But my memory is wiped right now.
Oh, that's good. So you're only an hour from Jeffrey Rice?
I think so. I think it's the time.
Oh,
we should hook those guys up.
We should. Yeah,
that'd be a good connection.
We should hook you guys up afterwards.
How far is he from Nashville?
I don't know.
I think I'm trying to remember how long.
Like an hour and a half? No, hour.
Tullahoma. I want to say like an hour. I was thinking like 45 minutes to an hour. But maybe the way you drive.
Welcome to the Google Maps podcast where we just discuss where things are.
It's on the map.
It's on the map somewhere.
Yeah, I'll look it up.
Yeah, if you're not too far away, sure.
If you got the cigar lounge, maybe we do an extra ride and go up to.
Oh, that would be interesting.
I'm building out a studio in the cigar lounge, like a really nice studio.
We could do a special night for that, and then go to his lounge and buy some cigars and hang out.
We could just set up our theology throwdown that we do.
There you go. So record it.
At this conference that Jeffrey Rice has, me and one of the guys, Brandon, we go in. We just go this place for breakfast, and it's like this cool little place. We're looking around, and we go upstairs.
Yeah. It's a Celtic coffee bar and like breakfast.
Celtic Coffee Cup is, I think, the name of the place. Yeah. And you go upstairs, and it just brings you back to the old pictures you have of the reformers sitting in like a pub and just arguing out and hashing out theology.
It's all wood. It's kind of a gable roof. It's big conference table.
So so last year we rented it out. I rented it for us, and Greg's sitting there setting up the recording, and we get in and just like, all right, let's have at it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we didn't. We're maybe a little bit too polite with Leighton Flowers who showed up.
Yeah, Leighton Flowers showed up.
And
really?
Surrounded by a bunch of Calvinists. Yeah.
Yeah, and he did what Leighton does, is distract.
The argument goes out the window.
Yeah. What he did was he decided to make it all about dispensationalism, and so the three dispensationalists that were there were like having to defend that while he just sits there and goes.
Yeah, we really didn't even get to regeneration until like the last 5 minutes. Yeah, and I think you did that on purpose. Sneaky. Yeah, but that'd be cool. So we got that worked out. But I just wanted to have you on, introduce again. You probably, my listeners know 1689. We've talked about him. We did the bracket with him, but just a great small business. Been well received.
Yeah.
How long have you owned the business? You're fairly new owner, right?
Yeah. So we've had the business for 2 years.
Okay.
And we've been. So it took me a year and a half to blend our cigars.
Okay.
And then we started heavily marketing the last 6 months. So in the last 6 months, we've sold to legally sold to all 47 states and maybe the other 3. And we've sold we would no longer be considered a boutique cigar company.
There you go.
So
That's the goal, right?
Yeah, we have no data for this, but I think we're probably one of the fastest growing cigar companies in the States right now.
Yeah, I would think so, because I'm seeing you pop up everywhere. People know about you outside of like these circles. Which
It's
is
probably
good.
because there was this podcast bracket that someone did.
Yeah, I'll take all the credit.
That's what it was.
Dude, it was funny because how many non-cigar smoking folks were in there, myself included, just to go like want to win. Just to win, like, Keith is like, well, if I win, I'll give, he gave whoever came in second, I'll give you the cigars because I don't smoke them. But,
all the cigar smokers were real mad that Keith won that. We're like, we're going to have to do, you can't just have it in a picture or video. You got to be a cigar smoker if you want to enjoy these cigars. So, I don't know, we'll have to figure it out next time.
You can't just hold it up and when you're playing the Presbyterian. You got to
actually smoke it.
All right.
All right, cool, guys. We'll let you go. Get back to it. We're on break right now. I think we've got Dusty Devers coming up next. So hopefully after he's done talking, we'll have him on, and we'll keep mashing these up and bringing you guys more content. As always, make sure you like and subscribe and tell a friend, and check us out at dmwpodcast.com.
And don't do a 20 nicotine.
And don't do a 20 milligram nicotine pouch. You saw, if you're watching the video, I only had it in probably for a total of 2 minutes in this whole thing. I'm feeling all right. I'm going to go take a nap in 3 days. Remember, Chief End of Man is glorified God. Enjoy him forever. God bless. Oh, yeah, here we go. So the Fight Laugh Feast continues. Here with Steve Cruz, Regular Man Podcast, TC Cook, the TC Cook Podcast. What's up, fellas? How are you experiencing Fight Laugh Feast so far? You having fun?
I'm loving it, man. These are my people. I keep telling everybody, like, I walk in, and this is the first time I've been to something like this, and I'm from Oregon, so this is not what I see anywhere I go.
He's like, I haven't been able to find anything vegetarian yet.
Yeah, I know.
It's all brisket and steak. No.
That's awesome.
Cauliflower steaks, nowhere. I can't find them.
Right. It's
Yeah.
true, though.
So I've been walking by your guys' podcasts, and if you're listening, make sure you go check them out. Regular Man Podcast, TC Cook Podcast. And it looks like you've been getting a lot of good interviews because you guys have been busy, been sitting down, talking. I want to come say hi to you, and then I walk by and I'm like, well, they're in the middle of an interview. So how's that experience been? Have you been getting some good content?
Yeah, a lot of people walking up, just random conversations. Had Kyle back on, had Chase from 1689 Cigars.
Yeah, he was just on too,
Awesome guy. Gonna have Dusty on when he's done.
He's talking right now. If you hear anything in the background, that's Dusty giving his speech, Dusty Devers. Yep.
I think about 5 minutes ago he said, last thing. Last thing. Yeah.
Well, I mean, he's
a pastor.
He's a pastor. He's a preacher. Preacher's got to say last thing at least 3 times before you take him serious.
He's a filibuster right now. That's what he's doing. He's filibustering, right? So
right.
That's
great. You can't have a sermon without false start after false start, you know?
Right. Yeah. So you guys have both been on the podcast, but it's been spaced out a little bit. Give like a little, both of you, like a little 3-4 line what the podcast is about and how it's going. So how about Regular Man? We'll start with you, Steve.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll go right down the line here.
It's a podcast about for regular men.
Okay. You qualify.
There it is.
No trans allowed.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, nice. I say tagline.
You say, well, I've been busted down off of YouTube so many times because I'll talk about everything. I'll talk about COVID-19.
I'll talk about just trans. Got deplatformed.
Yeah.
Right.
He's like, I'm on Dead Man Walking. I don't care if you get demonetized.
And it's just something for like regular, especially in the Reformed world. You know, you have a lot of ivory tower, a lot of academic, which is good. You know, you need that conversation. You need the good, important conversations of theology and philosophy, and those are amazing.
Yeah.
But so often the church just stops there.
Yeah.
Like you have 2 choices. Either you have the seeker sensitive, big evangelical kind of, this is a football. There are many like it, but this one is mine. This is a football. And then you have the deep reformed kind of going over the play action, button hook, 90 right, on go. And then you have nothing in the middle. Yeah. You don't have people teaching you, okay, well, before you go to the play action 50-yard deep pass, you need to pick up a first down. That means you need to hold this football. This is a football, but what does that mean? It means take the next step. It means gain a couple yards, go down the field. You know, do your job as a Christian, and bring that ivory tower into the garage.
To a practical application then.
Yeah, exactly. Practical application.
Very cool.
And so it's like a ivory tower bringing into the garage theology where, what does that mean to you? Well, it means X, Y, or Z. Don't use a $100 word, hypostatic union, transubstantiation, if a very simple, direct word can convey the same thing. It means God took on flesh, right?
Yeah.
It means it's a real, just convey the simple truth, because that's what the Bible does. And then you can get deeper later.
Yeah. That's one of the things I was really drawn to early in my walk with R.C. Sproul. And there's a reason why they called him the professor. He'd take these real big, theological thoughts and really break them down so like a dummy like me could understand them.
Exactly.
100%.
We're talking about injustice versus injustice, and then break, and then, okay, that's the practical application after this. So, I think it's much needed in the space, so that's cool.
I think that's one of the things, one of the reasons that Doug Wilson is so popular, is because he does exactly that.
Yeah.
He takes these grandiose, well fleshed out, deep conversations and deep theology, and he just condenses it down further and further, exactly what you're talking about, into, okay, well, it means, would God be happy with the way you're living or not? Well, then let's live in a way that God says you should live.
Yeah, so TC, what do you got going on over there at the TC Cook Show? What are you guys focusing on recently?
Yeah. So it's Clearly Speaking Network, and then we got the TC Cook Show, and we got the Zach Johnson Show on the network. Okay. And so Clearly Speaking is so that we can speak clearly on cultural topics using a biblical worldview. And so we want to take things that are going on in the culture, and we want to speak to that using Scripture, right? So that way we can see through new eyes, because it is all of Christ for all of life, and so it's all aspects. So I just started recently having guests. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, you were my first guest. I think.
I like it.
I'd have to go back and check. I have to fact check that.
I think it was pretty new when we were talking.
100%. Yeah. So
Snopes it.
Yeah, right.
Fact check it.
Yeah,
Fact check the
nobody
fact
fact check it. Just let Greg feel great, because he was
That's
the first time. Yeah. So we're bringing guests on, and so really just talking through cultural things. And one of the things I'm hoping to get this at this show is George Grant said he would come on, and so have him come on, and we want to talk about, or I want to talk about. This is selfish for me, but I just lost it, but you had a war, right? The Revolutionary War, good grief, and I really need to learn about this stuff, right? So you had the Revolutionary War.
These conferences will wear you out, dude. You won't know, up till 2, up at 6.
That's right.
That's true.
Setting up interviews, talking all day. Yeah,
it has been, and it's been a great flow over by the booth. It's been awesome, but the Revolutionary War, and then the spirit of that. Why aren't we like that today, right? Like, what happens? Like, they were ready to pick up arms. They were frustrated. They were ready to go, and it seems like I'm not saying that we're at the time where we got to pick up arms. Don't get us cut off.
I just imagine George. Why can't we have a civil war?
That's exactly what
go.
it's going to be.
No, I demonetize you, and now TC is going to get the FBI knock on you.
I know, right? Now I'm on a terror watch list. Between you two, I'm in big trouble.
That's right. Yeah.
delete.
You brought us on here for a reason, right? And that was it. Yeah. Really, what he's trying to say is he's done. His podcast is over. But
so who do you go for in guests when you're talking cultural stuff? Like, do you go like for someone in a specific area, and you go, hey, I want to go talk about whatever child.
It's depending on what I want to talk about, right? Whatever I think's going on, and so like let's say like the election, like a great one to have on would be a Dusty Devers, right? To have on for that. So you're going to go for somebody like that. If you want to talk about the history, right? Then you're going to grab a George Grant, right? Because he is a history guy. If you want to talk about evangelism, well, Andrew Rappaport would be a great guy for that, right? And so you just find things like I had Chase Davis on not too long ago. He's out there in Colorado, and we talked about church planting, right? So and the fact that I don't think we're talking about that enough of planting churches in America, and actually our pastor shortage that we have in America, right? Because they only last about 3 years, and it seems like.
Good day.
And right, and then they go into insurance sales or real estate, right?
Hey, now, watch it now. Don't group me in with those insurance guys.
Yeah, that's fair.
So them's fighting words.
So that's what I do is I try to find a guest to kind of pinpoint a topic because they have some experience in that world, right? So that's what I want to do. Yeah.
So I get a lot of people who listen, who message me, and they go, I want like I need to know what to do to start a podcast, and because I'm a big promoter of new podcasts,
Yeah,
I don't think
you've been amazing.
I don't think we're in competition. I want more podcasts talking about the Christ as King and glory to God, and there's enough room for all of us as long as you do it well and you're bringing valuable content to the listeners. They're going to tune in.
Right.
Both you guys obviously have big personalities. You talk about great stuff. That's why they're popular podcasts. So maybe to someone who's listening right now, you're like, well, you're at a Fight Laugh Feast. You're doing this podcast. We lug all our gear down here. We set it up. We put a setup. You guys both have nice sets, and it's like, why would I want to do that? But it feels like a lot to get started.
Right.
For me, I've always thought you really only need, a decent microphone and something valuable to say. Bring value to the conversation. That's the biggest thing. Would you guys kind of concur with that as well, too? Like
100%.
some guys get really into the production and it looks good. I love that. Do it in excellence. But at the same time, I've always felt the number one thing you really want to do is, just like in sales or anything else, value. Something, a different look at something that's not being talked about or needs to be talked about. Yeah. You guys both do that on your podcast. Would you say to someone who wants to start one, is that, how do you start it, and is that the way you'd want to go?
I'd say number one is you just got to get started, right?
Okay.
It's so easy. There's free things. You can go to Spotify. You can go to all kinds of stuff, and there's free ways to do it. You don't have to have video necessarily. I know a lot of people do that, and they'll throw it on YouTube and Facebook and different things like Twitter, right? Because they won't deplatform you, right?
Yeah,
At this
exactly.
point,
Thanks,
right?
Elon.
So
That's the only right.
X,
That's
we'll
the
call it
only
X, yeah. Thanks, Elon. That's right. And so you can do that, and obviously your views go bigger, but just get one started.
Yeah.
You can have even a junky mic at the beginning, right, just to get started. But if the content is good, then people will want to listen, and then sponsors might even reach out, right? And if you have a sponsor, like let's get it out of our heads that we're all going to be a Tucker Carlson, right? Where we bring like
Joe Rogan,
Joe Rogan, where we're going to have like a crap ton of money. It's not probably going to happen. Some people will, right? That's fair. But for sponsors, you look locally. You just start calling people and saying, hey, here's my idea. Here's what I want to do. Just like for us with Clearly Speaking, we're like, hey, we want to actually talk about cultural issues with a biblical worldview. And who do we have sponsoring us? People who are believers who have businesses, and they're like, hey, I actually like what you're doing, and I want to be a part of that. Because when you're first getting started, you're not going to have very many listeners anyways, right? So don't expect to sell them on, hey, I'll get your name out to thousands of people, because you don't have them, right?
Yeah.
So it's just, here's what we want to do, and then sell them on that product. You just got to know sales. You got to do it. But first, be interested in the topic. And then if you're going to have guests on, be interested in what they have to say, right? And that goes a long way. If you just find people interesting, then you're going to have a good time, and you're going to talk and have fun.
I would add into that too is be consistent. Even if it's once a month, twice a month, once a week, 3 times a week, whatever it is, stick to that and be consistent. Release on the same days, same time. People appreciate that.
100%.
After a while, they're going to realize, oh, it's Wednesday, Dead Man's coming out. Oh, it's Thursday, Regular Man's coming out, or whatever you're releasing. What is your release? You guys have
Sundays
releases?
usually.
Sundays, and what are your Fridays? There. See, we're on 3 different days, but the consistency of doing that, and that's what takes a little bit of work. Just, if we're all busy and we have real jobs, getting something out once a week or twice a week. But I would,
and don't stress out about that either, right? Like, oh man, what day do I post, and how often do I post? Just be consistent whatever day you post, right? That's it.
Well, find what works for you.
Sure.
If you're doing a 3-4 hour podcast, you could make that once or twice a month and cover a lot of stuff in that. And you're covering stuff for the last 2 weeks. If you're a little shorter podcast like me, 30 to 45 minutes, well, I'm once a week. I'm kind of keeping up on the week, and that way. There's guys that do 5 days a week, and every day is like is the news and the topic. I can't do that. I'm busy, but find it, be consistent.
Yeah. I took a totally different, maybe not totally. I took a different route than that, and just. I didn't know if I really wanted to do this. I just started it because no one, you had the attraction that a lot of people have who listen to me are the same people who listen to like Joe Rogan and Tucker Carlson and not necessarily politics. It's just you can feel the authenticity of them when they talk.
Right.
They're not shy. They're not scared of talking. They're not. They're not going to be. Overly cautious about what they say because it might be offensive. If you're offended, that's on you. Okay.
Yeah.
And
you're the one who has to pick up offense.
Right. Exactly.
Take up offense. Yeah.
And I really felt like it's important for the first thing for me is just to come across as exactly who I am. I'm just a regular dude.
That's
I'm not
right.
pretending to be anybody. You know, I at some point I did get my 4-year degree from Liberty, but like that doesn't make me more or less qualified to speak on anything.
Wait
than
a minute,
anybody
you're a
else.
regular man podcast and you have a degree?
Whoa.
Yes.
Whoa.
Keep that between
That's
us.
it.
Hot take. Hot take.
Right? That's as bad as like coming out or something at this regular man podcast. I'm educated over here.
But it's
Just so we're clear, I don't have a college degree. I'm just throwing that out there.
Same here.
So all
So
your
you're more
listeners, you
qualified
can
than
check
I
me
am.
out. Yeah.
Thus, I'm in real estate. That's called a callback. Good
and
job.
politics, yeah.
But yeah, let's finish this up because Dusty's done talking. I know you guys got to get to him because he's jumping on your podcast, I think, next.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I just want to talk to you exactly this little podcast. You know, what are you guys doing? How you did it? We'll mash it up, guys, with some other people. We're probably going to do like 3 or 4 for hour-long episodes. You'll get a little taste of everyone who's here. But if you are listening or watching, make sure you go check out Regular Man Podcast with Steve Cruz and the TC Cook. And what was the other one, TC?
TC Cook show on the Clearly Speaking Network.
Clearly Speaking. Yeah, that's what it is. Network. Guys, as always, remember, you can check us out at DMW Podcast. You can even get one of our nice little mugs here. Wine 'em, dine 'em, Romans 9 'em. Those are on sale right now. Or the new shirt, Why Don't You Shut Up and Let That Be Your Wisdom? Job 13:5. Sometimes you have to quote scripture to the pagans even if they don't like it. So, guys, remember, chief end of man is to glorify God and enjoy him forever. We'll be back in a little bit. God
And
bless.
before we go before we go,
I forgot.
I got a gift for you.
Oh, my.
Oh, yeah,
A
regular man hat.
brand new dad hat, weathered dad hat with a regular man hat. And that is for you too. The original, this is OG.
I like
before
the
I
all
even
black.
started it.
Yeah, put it there, and we'll leave it in frame for the rest of them.
Nice.
We got them side by side there.
Nice.
Cool. Can people buy these anywhere?
Yes, you can go to regularmanstuff.com and
Yeah,
get
throw it
all
out there.
kinds of offensive stuff.
You got merch yet, TC? You in the merch game,
I've
baby?
got zero merch. I'm not in that game yet. I'm just not. I don't know. I need a lot of it. I need to, yeah. So
I mean,
coming
cook,
soon. Coming
cooking.
soon.
I mean, there's something there, dude. We gotta get you branded, brother.
So, somebody said I need to sign off on it, and that's what's cooking.
And that's what's good. I love it. All right, guys, we'll be back in a little bit with more guests. So, George, nice to have you on the podcast.
Well, thank you. First time.
First time, absolutely. You know, we're here at Fight Laugh Feast. For you guys watching these, we were putting these together probably a couple days after it ended, pre-recording here, but it's been a great conference so far. Lots of great speakers. You were a speaker today. Before we get to what you talked about, could you just give us kind of the origin story, a little bio, what you're all about, what your interests are, just so the listeners can get to know you if they don't know who you are already?
Well, I'm a pastor
in
Franklin, Tennessee, and I have a podcast on the Fight Laugh Feast Network on church history.
Yeah.
I've written widely. I was ordained in 1976, so I've been around the block a few times.
Okay.
And I'm married to the love of my life. We'll celebrate 50 years of marriage this year.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It's a testament to her tenacity, not to anything that I have ever done. And we have 3 children on earth, 1 in heaven, and 9 grandchildren, 8 boys and 1 girl.
Praise God.
So those are my best credentials. I've been involved in Christian education, started classical Christian school back in 1991.
Okay.
And have been at every ACCS conference through the years.
Wow.
Doug Wilson and I started our schools within a couple of years of each other, and we've been friends all across the years.
Awesome.
So,
yeah, you know, we just did a question and answer session, and that gentleman talking about deciding to homeschool. I'm second generation homeschool, so I was homeschooled in the 80s and into the early 90s, back when they were sending social workers out to the house. Why aren't your kids in school? And you had to get attorneys and things like that. And now all 3 of my children, they're 15, 13, and 10. And by God's grace, they'll never step foot into a government school.
Amen.
I really enjoyed what you said about that. Also, surround yourself with other homeschoolers, because homeschoolers do like to help homeschoolers. But also the fact that I'm an elected county commissioner. I own a real estate company. I do all these different things. The thing of it's weird to be a homeschooler is something that the secular world tries to foist on us, when in fact, like Toby was saying, it is absolutely godly and natural and biblical and right.
It's what moms and dads were made to do.
And I would tell that guy, I'm going to go find him and talk to him. Don't worry about that first year. It feels like everything's out of your control and you don't have everything worked out. Hey, relax. You're one-on-one with your child. 15 minutes, an hour of one-on-one is worth 8 hours.
That is so true. That's the thing. I tell people all the time, they worry about which curriculum is the right curriculum and, how do we organize our day? And what I say all the time is, you're teaching your child to live the life of intentionality, thoughtfulness, to love beautiful things. And so, truth be told, there's lots of good curriculum out there.
Yeah.
There are lots of ways to organize your day, but what you're giving your child when you homeschool or when you get involved in a classical Christian community, you're investing in them at a level that is beyond anything that the world can think or imagine.
What's up? What time is that? You leaving right now? Oh, we're doing the VIP dinner? We can edit this out.
I think I'm supposed to be with All Saints guys tonight. Yeah.
All right, give me like 3 minutes and meet you where? Okay. All right, so we're going to have to cut this one a little short, but got Gabe telling me I have to be somewhere. I apologize. But, absolutely. And also, just to cap that off, I found that it's blessed our marriage a lot. I get to go, wow, you have a natural knack for chemistry and biology. She's like, you're a philosophy and civics guy. And you use each other's strengths, and then you find out more about each other. Just a beautiful thing. I didn't mean to make this about homeschool, but I just love that you're a proponent of that.
We have almost 2,000 homeschoolers under our umbrella.
Awesome.
And making it possible for them to be legal in our state.
Yeah.
And it's one of the richest ministry experiences that we have.
Yeah. Okay, so I've got to take off. You've got to go somewhere. So this was actually kind of odd timing for this. I apologize about that. But let's try to get you on for a few more minutes because I want to explore a little bit more about what you do on the podcast, some of the books that you've written, and give the listeners a little more exposure. Is that okay? If you're still around this weekend?
Yeah.
All right, George. Guys, thanks for listening to another little mini episode. We'll get into some more with George later this weekend. Stick around. Absolutely. Justin, what's up, brother?
Not much, man. How you doing?
Good. How's Fight Left Feet's been so far for you?
It's been great. Yeah, we just had the No Quarter November intro, so I think it's the best one so far. What do you think?
I think it just premiered, or maybe you put it out yesterday. Did you put it out yesterday, or was it tonight?
I don't know. It's the first time I saw it, but
it was pretty good. It's the Mr. Rogers theme. Won't you be my neighbor? Burning Bridges.
Yeah.
And, excited to see what comes out in November. Obviously, we always look forward to that, to see what Doug really has to say.
Sure. Yeah.
But, how has Fight Left Feet's been for you, man? We're in technically day 2, but I've been here since Tuesday, so it feels like I've been living in this arena.
Yeah.
When did you get in?
I got in
Wednesday.
Yeah.
So you've been here a few days,
Wednesday morning, yeah.
Yeah, so how's it been going so far?
It's been going great for us. We've been able to connect with a lot of people. A lot of current clients actually were here, so I'm like walking around and recognizing people that I meet on Zoom and making connections with you and some of the other guys around here, other businesses, and
because you're here for Dominion Strategies.
Yeah, Dominion Wealth. Yeah,
Dominion Wealth Strategies. Tell me a little bit about what that is.
Yeah, so we created it out of a desire to put wealth in the hands of Christians. We're education focused, so what we do is we sit down with families and businesses and look at their financial situation. Mostly the initial meeting's information gathering, and we come back with and present them kind of a plan, and that meeting's mostly focused on education.
Okay.
We're not really, we are selling stuff obviously, but the point isn't sales so much as just presenting like this is why we think this could be a fit for you and this is how this works and that sort of thing. And people proceed based on, their knowledge that we give them. So, we're not trying to we don't have a flagship product to push.
Okay.
We operate through brokerage with all sorts of products and services. So that allows us to just honestly make recommendations for whatever we believe is in someone's best interest as professionals.
So what are some products or services that let's say you sit down with someone, and then you might find a solution for them. What would be some things that they might purchase or invest in or take away from you guys?
Yeah, like your typical family. Like what does that often look like?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not every time, but your typical family has a little bit of debt to pay down, obviously, that they want to get out of the way for whatever reason. And so we'll work with them on a pay down schedule, usually, that kind of helps them optimize where their money's going, so that it's prioritizing higher interest first, and also looking at a little bit of nuance into, is it secured debt? Is it unsecured debt? What's the risk? And we'll have that conversation with them around like where their priorities lie as well. And then so we'll present that, and usually there's some budget recommendations. Maybe make a couple changes, tighten things up a little bit, so that there's some more discretionary income to spend for their future.
Yeah.
And then a lot of clients, we're looking at families. A lot of them need a little bit of life insurance. So often there's some life insurance in there for both spouses or one or the other spouse.
Okay.
Of one product or another, depending on what we determine is a good fit. And then often retirement planning is part of it too. So investments and things like that in that whole world. And then I've even got there's one thing that's been pretty common actually is a lot of younger couples are trying to get houses, obviously, and it's a little tough right now.
Sure.
And so I'm opening these trading accounts for them, so that they can basically earn more than you'd get in a savings account, and kind of might be cutting a year or two off of their journey towards getting into their first house. But we also do estate planning.
I was going to ask about estate. So estate stuff
yeah,
too.
we do trusts and wills and all that kind of thing, depending on what's suitable and everything, and kind of hold people's hands through that. We also do health insurance now. That's kind of a new addition.
Okay.
We don't do taxes yet. We're working on a partnership to do that, because I'm not a
CPA.
I'm not a tax guy. No, I can
tax guy.
I can tell you about the tax implications of investments and stuff, but I can't get down to the weeds on all the other stuff. So we are working on that, because people often ask hey, do you have an accountant you work with, a bookkeeper or something? And we don't have anyone in house that we have an official relationship with. So we're actually trying to feel that out right now.
Yeah.
That's about the only thing we don't do that I can.
Is the tax stuff. Everything else. Yeah. No, that's cool, man. So, how long have you been there? How long have you been associated with this? And, where are most of your clients at? Are they nationwide or in a certain state or what?
They're nationwide. It feels like most of my clients are probably in the Eastern time zone, I would say, but it's kind of all over. I mean, I'm licensed in 23 states, and when someone, calls in that is from a state I'm not licensed in, I go get my license in that state real quick, and we do whatever we're going to do. So,
do you have any kind of continuing education for your licenses?
Yeah.
Because I've got to do as a real estate broker, I got to do 9 hours a year, and I feel like that 9 hours sneaks up on me all the time. Yeah. And I'm licensed in 2 states, so that's 18 hours a year, and it feels like it's just overwhelming. I couldn't imagine if you had 23 different states, you're always having to do continuing education.
Well, it's more national, so working nationally is easier for me than I think it is for you.
Okay.
So in the securities and insurance world, that's the 2 main licenses we have to hold. Basically, when you're licensed in your state, that license, basically you just have to more or less register in another state.
Okay.
So once you've passed an exam in one state, then you're sort of set to go. In the case of insurance licensing, it's a different test for each state, but they have guidelines they have to meet. And so if I'm licensed in my home state of Washington, I just go on a website and register myself somewhere else. I might pay $100 or whatever. But that's about it. But as far as the maintenance of it through continuing ed, it's only applied to the home state. And same thing on the security side as well.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So, why is a financial planning company at a Fight Laugh Feast conference? What do the 2 have in common? Why would you come here?
Yeah. Well, for us in particular, it's because of our focus on working with the people of God.
Okay.
So, a lot of, it's not saying we wouldn't serve pretty much anybody that came to us, but we have only ever spent marketing money and effort on targeting people in the church to put money in their hands, frankly. So my goal is for our clients to be the most financially literate people in any church.
Yeah.
And the most financially capable, meaning that they're the ones that hopefully, if there's a need as far as a building project or something like that, or there's a pastor that needs to be trained or sent or anything like that, my clients will be the ones that can open their checkbooks and say well, what do you need? I got that.
Yeah, because historically I feel like believers have been kind of bad with their money. Now, granted, most Americans are.
Yeah, it's kind of a cultural Christianity thing.
Yeah, the average American is $54,000 in debt or whatever credit card debt. It's $20,000 on average or something.
Yeah.
But even within the church, I feel like there's not a whole lot of like financial literacy, and I feel like we should kind of be leading in that.
I agree. Yeah, and I totally agree. Yeah, I mean, I think it's the remnants of Gnosticism that there's been this like, and honestly, dispensationalism too.
Okay.
So you combine.
What do you mean?
So Gnosticism, right, is the belief that the material world is sort of irredeemable and inherently sinful, and no good can come of it, which is ludicrous because Christ came as a man; he was physical. And Gnosticism posits that Christ was this ethereal spirit, right? Because God could never do such a thing. But the fact of the matter is, the new heavens, new earth, physical place, heaven, physical place. Yeah. Jesus, manifestation,
earth,
totally physical.
Place,
yeah, this physical place. When God created the earth, he said it was good. Could God say that of a bad thing?
Right.
So Gnosticism, bad. Dispensationalism, so you bring in this like, oh, the physical can be disregarded more or less. We just worry about these ethereal spiritual things, right?
Yeah.
When you combine that with dispensationalism, which tends to be sort of pessimistic as far as its outlook, meaning that why bother contributing to the future because it's basically rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic.
Yeah, future's not going to be here,
Yeah, what would be the point? Jesus going to come get us, and so we might as well rack up the credit card debt so that he can like take us all away and redeem our sins and our credit card debt, I guess.
That's crazy because I remember talking to people growing up in church, and they kind of had that attitude, like in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah, I remember hearing like older folks when I was a kid joking about like, haha, I'm spending my kid's inheritance, you know, like it's a silly me, haha type of thing. And it's like, well, Proverbs says that a wise man leaves money to his children's children. Yeah. Like that doesn't sound very in keeping with the parable of the talents or anything like that. You should be building wealth. And it's not for your entertainment. It is so that you can build the kingdom of God. It is so that you can go conduct business. It's so that you can go build churches that aren't just, made out of sticks, hopefully.
Yeah, and I've even heard like Christians go, well, I mean, what's the point of that though? And then like, you have kids that grow up with a silver spoon and look at the rich, the rich spoiled, billionaires' kids that go off and, and I go, yeah, but that's without Christ though. Exactly. You know what I mean? So like if you combine wealth with submission to Christ, it can be a pretty good combo, I feel like.
Well, yeah, and when you look at that kind of mentality, basically what you're saying is, I could never parent financial literacy. I could never teach that to my children, so why bother?
Yeah.
And the fact of the matter is, your children hopefully become believers. They will be led by the Spirit to conduct their lives in a worthy manner, and your job is to instruct and pass on everything you possibly can as a parent. Yeah. So, like, that's your focus. That's what you should be. Your greatest legacy is your children, and one of the greatest gifts you can give them is financial literacy and potentially some wealth to pass along. But yeah, you give $1 million to an 18-year-old who doesn't know what to do with it, it's going to make his life worse, probably, right?
Yeah.
But you give $1 million to an 18-year-old who's been cared for and instructed by his parents how to manage it, how to steward it properly.
Yeah, it's very powerful in his hands at 18.
Huge blessing that could be. And I'll say this too: I've known some families that were wealthy that I grew up with and stuff. I mean, I know that there's a bunch of spoiled brats out there that blow it all and do all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I've known a few where the ones that I've known in the church, those kids like went out and like started their own businesses and did stuff. Yeah. And they're doing great.
Yeah, true.
So like I'm not trying to be formulaic about it, but the fact of the matter is, like, I think that in many senses you're going to get what you put into your children in this, especially in this area.
Yeah, and then even like budgeting and like wealth strategy planning, it's inherently uses biblical principles, discipline, self-control, patience, like all these things that we aspire to, fruits of the Spirit, things like that. What's your biggest success story, or a story that where you helped a client and you just went, man, that worked out really well, and you were proud of that? Do you have something like that where, off the top of your head?
Yeah, I have a client. It'd be funny if they listened to this.
So don't give any names or bank info.
The bank, the account number is
right.
I have a client. He's in his early 30s. Family. I think he's got 3 kids. They homeschool, all that kind of stuff. Very involved in their church. He was in a position at his company where he could buy very discounted stock options.
Yeah.
And that company has done really, really well. So he's just been socking everything he can into that account. And as soon as he's vested, he's pulling it out, and I'm managing that wealth for him. He's going to be retired and by the way, what I mean by retired is financially dependent. He's not going to sit around and do nothing. He's going to be investing more time into his children as a result of this. But he will be financially independent and no longer needing to work probably in 2 or 3 years. He could probably quit now. But my advice to him was like, look, you can stop now and I think you'll be okay. But you'll have a lot of overhead, in a few more years, and your wealth building capability, because he's still fairly young. He's going to be in his mid-30s. Wow. So like that's still a lot of earning time, because he's not going to need all of it to live off of. He's just going to be living off of a portion of it, and the rest we're just going to take it to the moon, frankly. So like imagine what he's going to be able to pass on to his kids, because he was patient, he worked through it, and he was like, I don't mind my job. I'll just work a few more years and have way more money. Okay.
Right.
And so to me, that's one of the, because he wasn't sure what direction to head and everything, and so we've got a plan in place and everything, and honestly, he's going to be doing really well, and I'm excited for him. I'm excited for his kids too. I mean, imagine what he'll be able to pass along. They're homeschooling. They have a heart for making sure that their children are brought up in a proper manner, instructed in the ways of God, and so like he'll be passing on a spiritual wealth and a physical wealth in a manner that's generous and amazing, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things I really like about being a real estate broker is when you really understand your craft, your market, the things, and then you can really see how you help someone, whether it be purchasing, in my case, purchasing investment property, flipping something, even, in this market, getting a home below market value, which is almost impossible, but it can be done with the right realtor that knows how to negotiate and, and find things. It's very satisfying. I'm sure it is in your industry too, where you look and you go, look at that. They're, like you said, he's working towards generational wealth, and then also too, for me, I'm working towards hopefully one of my children kind of taking over, and they'll have a system in place with agents and a business and things like that. So
when your kids kind of has an interest in this area of business and it seems to be a fit for them.
Yeah, I know which one it is. And I do.
Yeah. And that's really cool.
And it's exciting.
So that's a piece of inheritance you're really leaving behind is your business acumen for the right child. That's good, because what we do as providers isn't the same thing that our sons are going to do, because it's not all of them, because it's not a fit for all of them.
Sure.
Right, but that allows you to, in a very particular way, bless that son.
Yeah. It's funny because my dad used to say that he owned a computer wholesale business. He go, one day this will all be yours, as a joke. And I just remember going, I don't really want to do this. And now that I'm a parent, I went, that probably was a little frustrating for him, or maybe even hurt him looking back on it. Because if my kids just went, I don't want anything to do with what you do. Not that you need to take it personally, but it is like, it was a gesture of him going, I'm trying to leave you something. I'm trying to build something for you, Now, he taught me a lot of things in many other ways that helped me with what I'm doing now. So it doesn't mean, listen to any fathers out there, it doesn't mean your children have to do exactly what you do.
No.
It also means that you can teach them and, they can learn things from you to set themselves up for whatever career it is they're doing too. I don't know how we got into that, but you started talking about generational wealth and got me thinking. So if this is going to be linked up on the when the podcast goes live, but if anyone wants to get a hold of you to learn more about what you do, where can they find you and where can they find Dominion?
Yeah, www.reform.money. Most of the time you just put in reform.money. That's where to find us. Yeah. And you can book a meeting right from our front page or sign up for our mailing list. And we post a lot of informational content, educational stuff as well.
Yeah.
It's the best place.
I was almost going to say, now where does the name Dominion come from? But with reform.money, I think we know what's going on there.
Yeah. I mean, it's all Dominion mandate.
Yeah, Dominion mandate over all spheres.
It is. It really is. We want Christians to, we were commanded by God to take dominion over the earth.
Yeah.
And our particular focus, everybody that's here, the other men that do business, they have various focuses. You're focused on real estate and, and the podcast and things like that. Our focus is believers taking dominion over their finances in particular, and over the finance, not just their own though. It's a broader vision of building a culture of Christianity that is financially literate and, I hope, very wealthy.
Yeah. And can use it for the glory of God, too.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. We don't bury it.
No.
We don't hide it waiting for the master to come back. No. We actually go out double, triple,
This is to go build businesses. This is to go bless your family. This is to go, influence the politics of your community, the policies of your community on the national stage, local stage, build churches, train pastors, that kind of thing. That's what this money is for. That's when God gives us money to steward. It is not so that it can bless the dirt.
Right. I like that.
Yeah, that does nothing.
That.
Yeah, it is so
blessing the dirt does nothing by burying your money that the Lord blesses you with.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, Justin, thanks so much for hopping on. Guys, we're doing, like I said, we're doing mashups all weekend long. We're just getting towards the end of day one here. We'll have lots more content for you tomorrow on, the last day, I guess it would be. And remember, DMWpodcast.com. Sorry, it's been a long day. I'm on a 14-hour day here. I'm stumbling over my words. Yeah. DMWpodcast.com. Find out more about us. Tell a friend. Thanks. Nathan, thanks for being on the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we were talking a little bit offline, and I wanted to kind of expose you to my listeners and what you're doing. So you're a filmmaker. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so in 2020, I released a documentary called On Earth as It Is in Heaven, which just talks about a little bit about the post-millennialism, eschatology. So Doug Wilson's in it, Ken Gentry, and a number of other brothers. So since then I've done another documentary called Teach All Nations that I think we released that in 2022.
Yeah.
And then this year I released a film called Honor the Son, which, engages a little bit with the topic of this conference, which is like faith and politics and how that blends together.
And we have a mutual friend in Marcus Pittman and Lord TV. You've done some stuff for those guys, correct?
Yes, actually, the Teach All Nations was originally released on Lore. It was one of they put out two different kind of docu-series programs, kind of at the launch to test things out, and they chose my series and another one. So.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
That was fun.
So this is your, I think you said, third Fight Laugh Feast.
Yes.
Second or third?
Yes.
Yeah?
And actually, it was great. The first one, I did a lot of the filming for Teach All Nations because it's, just kind of like what you guys are doing here. It's a great chance to get all these great guys together and maybe do a little interview here and there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So what's your favorite part so far this year's Fight Laugh Feast? I've seen you here for the last couple days. We've been wandering around. We've been passing each other. I saw you getting in a nice long discussion with Dr. James White earlier.
Yeah, it was great to sit down and talk to James for a bit. Yeah. I interviewed him a few years ago for the Teach All Nations. Yeah. And actually it was very interesting. One thing that was really cool about Dr. White is when I released my first film, he came out with a sermon when he kind of became a post-millennialist. And in that sermon, at the end of it, he mentioned my documentary. And so a lot of people got to see my first documentary because they saw James White's sermon and jumped over there. So yeah, it's always great to catch up with Dr. White.
Yeah, I tell you, Dr. White, if he likes you, he will promote you, and he's very good at that. I know he does some stuff with Jeffrey Rice, who owns Post Tenebris Lux Bible rebinding.
Yeah.
And once he held up that Bible, boy, Jeff said people were coming to his website and going, "Hey, can I get a Bible that like James has?" So that's awesome. Have you always been into filmmaking, or is that something you got in later, or did you have another life before filmmaking?
Yeah, it's definitely something I got in later, probably somewhere around 2016. I hadn't really picked up a camera before then. My wife was a photographer, so she, liked some of those things a bit more than I did, and started getting into that. Decided about 2018 or so I wanted to, try my hand and make a documentary, and that ended up being my first one, which is On Earth as It Is in Heaven.
Yeah, and those have been pretty well received.
Yes,
I've read and seen.
Yeah, I've been pretty blown away. Because even originally, like I live down in Chile, I live in South America. So originally, I just wanted to make a film in Spanish that kind of presented some of these things.
Yeah.
But just through different circumstances, ended up getting the opportunity to interview Pastor Doug Wilson, Steve Gregg, and these different guys. Yeah. And turned it into an English film, and I just uploaded it to YouTube and Facebook, and got my family and friends to watch it and maybe share it, and then just slowly it started to gain a bit more
build and
momentum, and it's been amazing.
So you got anything coming up? Are you working on anything now? Any ideas? Any sneak peeks you can give us?
Yeah, well, right now this year, I haven't been able to do a lot of film-related stuff. I've been having a bunch of other stuff going on, but I'm hoping next year to be able to focus on a documentary I want to do on the subject of Christian Reconstruction and theonomy.
Interesting.
And I've done some interviews for that, and I'm hoping to do a few more. But that's something I want to work on for sure next year.
How long does a doc usually take you from idea to completion?
Well, it depends on how much time I have to work on it, basically.
Right.
But usually at least a year, maybe two.
Okay.
Because one thing is that I was kind of self-taught in a lot of this.
Sure.
And one thing I tried from the beginning was to make something that I could make mostly by myself, where I didn't have to depend on a lot of, and paying other people, or depend on, having a big crew of people to work with. So I tried to make things that I can make myself, which is, great if you have a small budget. And it's also, but on the flip side, it takes a long time, because you're doing everything.
You're doing everything,
in some ways. So.
And you said you're in Chile right now?
Yes.
So that's where you're living.
I live in Pichilemu, Chile, a small coastal town there.
What took you down there? Are you from there, or?
My parents were originally from California.
Okay.
They went down there as missionaries about 40 years ago. So, so yeah, we've been there a while.
Okay, so how often do you get back to the States?
Well, maybe once a year, maybe less. Lately, I've been coming a bit more. But
so you're doing most of your documentary work usually in Chile, then?
Well, the filming part I've done here in the
Okay.
States, and obviously editing and all that, and even shooting a lot of the scenes, like some of the footage, like in my movies that are like not really the interview parts. I shoot a lot of them around my house down there. So.
Okay. Very interesting. So where can people go if they want to find out more about you?
So onearthfilm.net
is
or .com, I don't remember. One of the two is my website.
Okay.
And you can also just check me out on Facebook or Twitter, Nathan Anderson. I'm around there.
So they can find you just about everywhere. Well, Nathan, it was so nice to meet you. I'm so glad you got to jump on for a few minutes. Tell us about what you're doing. Let's have a good time at Fight, Laugh, Feast. You here all day?
Yeah, definitely.
All right.
All right,
all right, guys. We're going to keep mashing these up. We'll bring you more guests, new people that never been on the podcast before. That's what we're really focusing on this time around, so we can introduce you to people you need to know and support. We'll be back in a little bit. Remember, chief end of man is to glorify God and enjoy Him forever. God bless. Be sure to check us out at DMWpodcast.com, where you can purchase the best and snarkiest merch on the internet, support the show, and leave us a review or message. Dead Men Walking can be found on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Dead Men Walking Podcast, and on Twitter X at Real DMW Podcast. The Dead Men Walking Podcast is part of the Fight, Laugh, Feast Network. For exclusive show content, be sure to download the PubTV app and become a member. If you're a business that needs to reach hundreds of thousands of potential customers in your demographic, podcast advertising might be for you. Send all inquiries to deadmenwalkingpodcast@gmail.com.
None your biscuits.